Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Overwatch League. The Asian match is here. It's late at night for us, but where you're watching, it might be the morning, could be the afternoon, could even be the same time as us, if you're up to the same schedule. But we do have a couple of Asian Overwatch League matches ahead of us. My name is Bren, and I'm joined by Sideshow. We're going to be bringing the action tonight. And the first match that we got is, of course, Shanghai Dragons versus the Hangzhou Spark.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good one. The Chinese games so far with these teams have all been really exciting. They've all kind of strayed away from the meta a little bit, but the Spark and the Charge have been the teams that have been playing a little more around that. Also, the hero pools that we have changed things up additionally, even so. We'll be talking about those a little bit later on, but I think this is a great opportunity for the Dragons to start to pull ahead of the pack. They're 1-1 at the moment, and they actually suffered a fairly terrible loss actually to Chengdu last week, but if they can bounce back with a win over the Spark here, they're starting to regain their place that everyone thought they would have as the best team in the region.
Yeah, and as we take a look at the Shanghai starting roster as well, this is definitely a team that we expected to do very, very well coming into the Overwatch League. Now, obviously, not the same format as what we started with. We had, I think, different intentions of where we thought they might be playing out. And it's a little bit different when they're playing in these closed circuits. But from the starting roster, nothing out of the ordinary per se. Still going to be going with Fleta Lip as like this GPS duo, and Stand One and Void as well. And then, of course, Li Jaegong and Izayaki.
And I think that's really an important thing here, that the Shanghai Dragons are fielding this roster, because when you saw them play against Chengdu, they actually fielded, DM and they were playing with Fearless at some point as well with the Shanghai Dragons. So they certainly swapped around their roster quite significantly. And some people online are calling that their B roster as well. I mean, I'm not 100% sure that you can really have a B roster with the Shanghai Dragons' depth of DPS talent that they have on this roster, but it certainly didn't look as coordinated. And even when they subbed back in their A team, if you want to call it, with Fleta and Lip, the Shanghai Dragons never really got the ball rolling. So I like that they're securing this core, and I like that they're playing around Stand One as well. He seems to be a little bit more comfortable at the moment with the rest of the players.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Stand One as an individual player. And of course, we didn't really mention it, but last week's hero pool rotation didn't really help out the Shanghai Dragons with Winston being taken out of things.
Definitely.
But on the other side of the coin, of course, you need 2 matches to play a game. We've got the Hangzhou Spark, and this starting lineup is some familiar names, as you can see. Not really branching out too much. Assassin's still going to be playing the off-tank for them, which is interesting in itself.
It definitely is. It's something that's fairly unexpected to see Sashin in here. It may indicate at this point that Rhea either has some outstanding issues, some illness, some whatever, because having Sashin in for every single game is quite unexpected. I would love to hear from the Hangzhou Spark. It is unusual because we're expecting to see a lot of D.Va be played this week, honestly. Gushui's going to have his Winston available, and yes, we've seen mostly Reinhardt-centric compositions so far this week, revolving around the Reaper and revolving around the Torbjorn when we've seen the North American matches, but I'm expecting China to do things slightly differently, especially when you have the Winston now available for Gushui and the Shanghai Dragons' way of playing. I think we might see some more kind of divey, high-mobility compositions being played tonight.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I've got a feeling that we just might, China as a region, they'd love to just not play Overwatch typically. The typical Overwatch that you know and you might be used to. And as you said, we saw Torbjorn being played by some teams. We saw, the Doomfist alongside it, sticking to that Reinhardt D.Va. But as we head into the map set, we can start to see exactly what maps we're going to be playing today. The first one is going to be Ilios between these two teams. So this map is one that sort of promotes a variety of compositions, I would say, actually, based on what sort of section you might get first.
Yeah, definitely. And we have actually a variety of maps in this pool tonight as well. We've got Ilios, and then we go into Paris, which is very enclosed and favors the bunker compositions, and then Dorado, which you can actually get away with playing, even the off-meta picks of like potentially a Pharah at various points in time. So there's definitely options in this hero pool tonight for both the Shanghai Dragons and the Spark to explore different things. We were seeing quite a bit of Doomfist be played. That's something that Lip could certainly get out. Bazzi played it in the playoffs last year as well. So opportunities for teams to flex outside of what we've seen so far in North America. That's what I'm most excited for tonight. Whether the Chinese region has a slightly different take on the meta.
Yeah, and early days yet, but it already feels like it may be as we are jumping into the game. Of course, the Shanghai Dragons versus the Hangzhou Spark. As you can see, the teams are going to start to roll out, and they are going to be running a lot of Sombra, which is quite peculiar. A lot of the Western teams that we've already seen have been running Torbjorn to try and counteract this. Of course, McCree is not in the hero pool, so he's one of the soft counters to Sombra. Makes sense that you might see her now.
Yeah, the Sombra, though, promotes a slower pace of play, and both teams are playing it here. So both teams are not really going for that rush composition where they're trying to take a big brawly fight. They're looking for key individual hacks, and Fletter goes down very early on.
Yeah, big hack onto Fletter. Disabled him, couldn't use any of his abilities, had to get out of there. And Hangzhou Spark, they get a nice early pick off. With that, they can start to take the slow siege attempt. You can see them just chipping away the rest of Shanghai. And with those picks, they are going to find it quite easy to cap up the point, flipping it over into their favor. And now on the other side of things, you're going to start to see, look at that ult percentage built up by Lip. Now, I don't know if that's really going to be meaning that much in the grand scheme of things. It's only about a 20% difference between the two Sombra players. But if they play fast, they might be able to use it. But at least seems like Hangzhou are the ones to go first. They press the go button, Coalescence gets used, and it's going to be another one fight.
I really like this as well. If you have any idea that Lip's been building up his EMP a little bit faster, and it seemed like he was prioritizing EMP building over the hacks, and that was one of the reasons that the Shanghai Dragons actually lost the first fight. But if you have that idea, then yeah, use that early Coalescence from Bebe. Try and get the fight, turn up the tempo on them, and build time for your own EMP. I think I would like to see them take the initiative again with Bazzi here, if we can get in position to use an EMP.
Well, I think Bazzi got caught out of position there. He had to relocate back. And now we're going to see stand one. He's just trying to see if he can get any sort of value whatsoever. Comboing up maybe the Earth Shadow with a hack. It's a classic combo! Oh my word, but Lip, I believe he just got hacked out of his EMP. The counter EMP, Bazzi got it off just first, and there's the Earth Shadow laid down as well. Counter Shadow now from stand one as he tries to turn this in their favor. Still could be Shanghai's game to win, but Hangzhou Spark are the ones with the picks flowing into the kill feed right now. Trying to turn it around though, as Sashin will fall. Void still alive. Bazzi desperately hunting for a pick-off. Gushue with the counter pin gets sent straight onto the floor.
Oh, Fletter!
IDK with a nice little boop there. Fletter could not TP out, didn't have the techers for it. And now we're going to see them still try and take this fight. Hangzhou Spark, remember, still in control of this. Even if Shanghai are the ones who are getting all of the picks, I think Hangzhou Spark are going to be quite happy with the progress they've managed to gain on this.
Definitely. I think it's honestly pretty good for both teams. For the Shanghai Dragons to get hacked out of your EMP and still be able to turn the fight around with a slightly later sound barrier, they've got to be fairly happy about that. But I don't think they're looking good in this round. Bazzi's got the EMP.
How has Bazzi got the EMP already?
He was just absolutely farming in the midst of that fight.
What a whole team fight. And we're going to see the team play. I mean, this is IDK just getting some great value there with that boot. But team fight's already kicking off, presumably. Indeed it is. As you can see, the fight's already happening. Bazzi uses the EMP, connects onto 3 targets. Fletter using the Death Blossom in the back line. Didn't get any picks with that, but he is able to find the damage to take out Adora.
Yeah, that EMP just came too late from Bazzi. That was their win condition here. This is now looking a little bit dodgy this round. That should have been utterly in the bag for the Hangzhou Spark to take the first map here, the first round, sorry, on Ilios. And instead, Shanghai Dragons turn up the pace a little bit from what we could see. And Bazzi was with a late EMP when his Reaper had already died. Now Lip has that EMP building up, and the momentum is all in the Shanghai Dragons' favor.
Yep, the tide has turned. The Coalescence, though, by Hangzhou. And look at that instant disengage by Shanghai. So smart for them to do that. They recognize they don't want to take the fight, and that's a beautiful combo. Straight up, you see the EMP comes out, stand one lays down the Earth Shadow, and he's bound to get some sort of value out of it. And Shanghai happily going to be taking that team fight, putting a little win in the bag.
Yep, and that has built them time to be able to get both of their support ults online as well. An absolutely crucial fight, but Shanghai Dragons' execution was perfect. As you said, Brent, great disengage, and then the EMP Shadow knocks everyone to the floor. This is a tough position for the Spark to be in. They had their opportunities to win this round for sure. They looked like the better team. Bazzi looked like the better Sombra, but now their backs are up against the wall.
The win condition here for Hangzhou. They have to get a hack off. They have to find it on somebody. But it's going to be hard to push into this as well, as Ziyaki unleashes the Coalescence once more.
Li Jiegong's been hacked.
Shanghai the healing. Li Jiegong hacked up, but he's still alive. Manages to survive. And if he keeps it up, Void though with the 2K. Shanghai. Beautiful plays coming out from this team right now. Gushue attempted to try and clutch it up.
Sound barrier.
And Li Jiegong hacked out of his sound barrier, but I don't think it's going to matter, Josh. Shanghai seem like they're in full control of this one. Nice little dodge there by Fletter as well. He uses Ray Form to just evade the EMP. And that is some wonderful team play right there from the Shanghai Dragons. Even though the Hangzhou Spark looked like they might have been able to turn it with a couple of individual plays, wasn't quite enough. And it's going to be 1-0 so far on Ilios.
You really could not ask any more from Bazzi there. Incredibly fast EMP generation. The hacks onto Li Jae-gon were perfect towards the end to give his team an opportunity to win the fight. But the team play and the disengages better from Shanghai, and that crucial fight where the Hangzhou Spark messed up when they had that EMP advantage. They squandered their one opportunity to win that round. And when you're playing with the Sombra, the ults are so incredibly important. Let's see if they can turn it around here. Seems like Void is going to be playing the Zarya.
That's interesting. I mean, normally when you see a Zarya being played here, it's to facilitate a Doomfist.
Yeah.
But instead, they're going to be going with still the Reaper Sombra. A lot of Sombra play, which, you know, China is no stranger to as a region. They like to play Sombra. It's been the case for quite many years. But you see both teams initiating, clashing into each other. They're looking for an opening here. And I got to say, there's going to be a lack of damage output on the side of Shanghai. But they want to try and engage off the back of these bubbles. You can see Fletter's in the background. He tried to put a bit of damage into the Hangzhou Spark, see if he can get a pick off or two, and they found one onto Bazzi. Great opening.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of the win conditions gone now. Shanghai, they press the advantage.
Absolutely beautiful boot from Li Jae-gon. Follows it up with another kill on the Gushue as well. This is Li Jae-gon at his prime. We haven't really had an opportunity to see him play the Lucio yet in the Overwatch League because it was removed last week. It was unavailable. But Li Jae-gon back in here, playing his signature hero, showing everybody why he was a potential main support rookie candidate of the year.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that as well, but you're completely correct. I mean, we were just raving about Li Jae-gon. As you can see, nice hack onto him though. Hangzhou going to try and take this fight here. You can see the EMP comes out. It connected onto Bebe, and he's not going to get any value out of that coalescence whatsoever. Shanghai in a great position, using just the right amount of ultimates.
Yep, really nice execution from Shanghai. They've still got big ults to be able to work with as well. Sashin now makes the move over to Zarya. It's pretty interesting. We haven't seen too much Zarya coming out from Sashin. So interesting to see how he can hold his own against Void. He's obviously way behind in terms of his ult charge because he moved over to the hero later. That could really hurt for the Hangzhou Spark. If they're not able to turn this point on the EMP, and honestly, there's so many ways that Shanghai can stop it, then they'll be in a bad situation for this round.
Yeah, and when you switch off the D.Va as well, you really do just set up Void for an easy graviton.
Absolutely.
He's got no threat whatsoever to it being eaten. And there you go, you can see it's Freelo right there. So the soundbite is going to come out from IDK to try and keep the Hangzhou Spark alive. So they trade one ultimate for another. Earth Shatter from stand one as he tries to clutch it up. Brings one player to the deck, but now the counter EMP comes out from Bazzi. Follows it up with the Death Blossom. Look at Fledder in the background. It's going to be the one-for-one trade as Bazzi finally takes him out. And it still could be Shanghai's win here. They're just disengaging away from the Coalescence, waiting for it to run out, and now they're going to go in with one of their own. Izayaki comes in with it, the superior healing, trying to see if they can get a pick or two. Luckily, IDK's clutch. He did manage to bring down Lip. A hack onto Void means they're not going to be having too much utility with the bubbles. A fast grab comes out, and Hangzhou Spark managed to turn it.
Yeah, Hangzhou Spark in control of the point here. That's an enormous flip. That fight really could have gone either way. I want to call out IDK's kill onto Lip, because if IDK had not killed Lip, Lip would have had his EMP, and that fight could have gone incredibly differently. But the Hangzhou Spark managed to get it. As you said, both Lucios on these two teams, super clutch players when it matters.
Ultimates online though. Shanghai are going to be looking to try and take this fight with the EMP. If you can use the EMP to win it out, of course, you're going to want to do that. And stand one almost with the Earth Shatter to combo it up. It's a classic age-old combo. If you try and get a hack off onto the shield target, sets him up. There goes the EMP. Stand one just swinging. Finally has it. Lays it down. It connects onto one, but one's all you need at the end of the day. And the kill feed just flooding right now. The white against the pink, and as you can see, nice little turnaround from Assassin here.
How
I was not
is
expecting
Assassin
this.
getting those kills? What
That
is
is
that?
Absolutely absurd. Shanghai Dragons may have just bit off a little bit more than they can chew. Forced to use ultimates now as Izayaki has to use the Coalescence and his clutch time. Bazzi tries to use the EMP to turn this one around. It gets onto at least two of the targets. Gujo with the Shatter, but I don't think he found any value at all. Still going to be hunting for the kills, and they do find it onto Void, bringing them down. As long as Assassin survives, they might have the necessary damage. And the point flips back over to Hangzhou. Absurd series of events that were occurring right now in front of us.
Yeah, what an enormous play coming out from Sashin with the 2 kills, turning this around, building up the Graviton as well. There is no reason that the Shanghai Dragons should have been in a position to die to Sashin there. They have gifted the Spark an opportunity back into this game. It should have been a total shutout.
And Shanghai, I mean, in that previous fight, they tried to shut down Sassin. He was high charge. They try and take him out to secure and clean up the round, but Sassin just so clutch, as we mentioned, and he's built up a Graviton. That's critical, because now, even if the Graviton doesn't get any kills, even if it falls out the sound barrier, it's going to be the Hangzhou Spark that can come in with one of their own. You can see Sassin, he uses it early. Where's the sound barrier? Not used, saved here. Li Jiegong actually hacked up. He couldn't use the sound barrier, and Hangzhou Spark, they may have just been gifted the win because of that. Bazzi with a perfect hack onto him. Has to use it in the tail end of this fight. Li Jiegong only managed to get onto 3 targets. He did not get what he wanted out of that one. And Hangzhou Spark, what beautiful clutch individual performances to just clinch out that round, both from Sassin and Bazzi.
Yeah, enormous hack from Bazzi towards the end, but my god, Sashin, we were wondering whether this guy really had the powerful Zarya to be able to push them over the line, and Shanghai Dragons run into him one at a time, potentially underestimating the fairly new player for the Hangzhou Spark, and he cleans him up, a couple of right clicks, some nice laser beam action, and Sashin is gifted the kills onto Stand 1 and Fleder at such a pivotal time. I mean, it is not an it's not an overstatement, sorry, to say that the Shanghai Dragons threw that round away.
We'll see if their mental is in check now as we're heading to the final round of Ilios, map 1, of course, in the series. The first one of the Asian Games tonight between Shanghai and Hangzhou. Teams are rolling out again, running these mirror compositions, sticking with the Zarya, still running the Sombra Reaper. Bazzi has been critical on that role. He's been able to get so many crucial hacks off. See if we can do it again. Both teams just picking at each other though.
It really does seem like Lip's playing for ult generation and Bazzi's playing for key hack targets. We'll see how that plays out here. Fleder again falling a little weak, gets hacked up. See if they can get any pressure onto him. Seems like he's in fairly safe position.
Okay, Void manages to force out the relocate there, the translocate from Bazzi, takes him out of the fight, but Hangzhou Spark take early positioning onto the point, and Sassin with the damage of the right clicks is pumping it into them, but luckily Bebe falls off the edge of the map. Li Jiegong clutching when they needed it. He gets 2 environmental kills, and that is just wonderful, and you know, we've got so many good players to highlight in this match. It really does feel like we're being treated.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a delight to be able to see Li Jiegong on his primary hero, like we've said before. His Batiste was okay. It wasn't amazing, it was all right. But on the Lucio, that's where he really excels, and this is one of the reasons why people were so excited about the Shanghai Dragons backline this time. Let's take a look at the replay as well. Coming around here, getting 2 kills in this fight. Just finding the magic.
That is just, to find a kill like this, just out of nowhere. I mean, the skill to pull that off. And not even the fade could save Bebe, but we're going to be heading into another team fight as soon as this replay does end, presumably. I think the teams are already on the fight battling. Indeed, I think they may have just taken a little skirmish. Who knows?
I think a fight was already won, and this is the next one, actually.
Right. But here we have it. EMP used by Lip. They need to try and win this one. Shanghai get a pretty critical kill there. Assassin goes down, and it will open it up. Yeah, I mean, a confusing series of events there. The replay covered it up. I felt like I've skipped forward in time.
You fast-forwarded, essentially. But don't worry, Shanghai is still in control of the point. A great use of the EMP there. Oh, Bazzi actually finds a kill. I don't think Bazzi even hacked Lip there. I think he just took the man-to-man 1v1 and dominated him.
I mean, if he didn't hack him, that's pretty atrocious by Lip, I think.
I mean, Translocate might have been down as well.
Look at this Graviton surge now by Void. See the EMP laid out here for Hangzhou. They are desperate to win this fight, and I think off the back of those pickoffs, it's almost inevitable.
5 ultimates used in order to flip? I mean, yeah, the Hangzhou Spark are desperate to win. If they don't win that fight, then they've lost the map. But 5 ultimates? That's an enormous amount of ults to be using there. Lip is at 64% of his EMP, and honestly, the Spark are going to be scrambling. They need to try and get some value out of this Coalescence trade, and maybe just play aggressive, get Adora in a good position, otherwise they're not looking good for this round.
Adora hacked up though, he cannot be teleporting whatsoever. And we see an early Coalescence here by Izayaki. He wants to try and lay it up. Is that another big boop here from IDK? He takes out Fleder. He makes it a 1-for-1. Sassin goes down, but Bazzi easily follows up with one of his own. Now we're looking at Void just running down the opposition. He takes out Adora. One nice little right click. Still anyone's game, but not when IDK's on the map. Beautiful plays. 2 boops almost back to back to set this one up. Lijiang Gong is just an absolute raid boss on this point. And I can't believe what's really occurring before me right now. Lip now forced to try and take this fight. The rest of his team coming back in. Shanghai do not want to give this one up, and rightfully so, because it is equal trades. Earthshatter now slayed down by Stand 1, but he doesn't get what he's looking for. And this is a playground right now for the Lucios. Another pick here for Lijiang Gong. And the Shanghai Dragons have managed to secure this. The rest of their team is back in action. Adora's gone down. Hangzhou Spark, they don't have the damage to try and push into this.
This is ridiculous. They do actually have overtime going. There's somebody on the point. They're actually backcapping right now. But the Shanghai Dragons prioritizing the correct thing, which is to win this fight.
If they keep sassing up, though, this could be a repeat of what we've just seen. The backcap there, I'm not too sure who that was. It might have been Bazzi as he got into the backline. But again, they tried to run down Sassin, and he got kept up by the rest of his team, but a nice little hack there comes out. Bazzi has to go back up. Now we see the Graviton Surge here being used. Sassin lays it down. Still could be anyone's match here as we head into the final moments of Ilios. EMP is being traded out all over the bloody shop. And it is Shanghai Dragons who are going to be the ones cleaning up the rest of these players. Stragglers remaining on the point, but the Shanghai Dragons are just about, as they finally mop up the floor, are going to take map number 1 here in this series against them and the Hangzhou Spark. That was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, what a first map. The Shanghai Dragons really, I think, should have been able to clean that up 2-0. They had their opportunities to easily dominate the second round there.
Yeah.
And that went almost to the wire in the third as well. The Bazzi in particular, and both of the Lucios, let's be very clear there, having a great match. But I think this is proof that the Spark are able to bring it somewhat to the Shanghai Dragons, even so. Even playing a lot of this, it's not really rush style, like it's not a death ball composition because the Sombra's in there, because you're trying to play around the hacks and the EMP. It is a lot slower pace than what we've seen from North America, but it's an interesting style, and it's something that a lot of people were theorizing about coming into this week with the hero pools.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, we're going to find out now. Can the Hangzhou Spark battle out? After the break, we've got more Overwatch coming up. Don't go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Groups. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch. And by Zip Chair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
And right now it's free, right? And all of a sudden, huge explosion comes in there, it's like, BAM! And this growth chaos is shitting. And it's going, and I'm like,
Download now.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everybody. Yeah, we are one map into the first match of the Asian series. The Asian series. Is it really a series, Josh? I mean, I guess we've got 2 matches today, so
yeah.
Or tonight.
Sure.
I am losing track of time. It is escaping me. This lockdown, I'm like, is it today? Is it tonight? I mean, who knows? You could be watching from anywhere. Tell you who is watching, though, Josh.
Who's watching?
San Francisco Shot coaching staff. I just got sent a picture of Krusty enjoying some food with the rest of the gang. So, hello.
Yeah.
To them.
Yeah, nice to see the San Francisco coaching staff learning from the other regions as well, you know, taking some time to have a look and see what the Chinese teams are running. It really is a very different scrim environment, and you can see that it's produced different results as well. People over in North America playing the Reaper with the Torbjorn, the Reaper with the Doomfist. We haven't really seen any Sombra be played by them, because you really can counter the Sombra just by playing aggressively. But at the moment in the Asian region, we are seeing a lot of Sombra being used to good effect.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of tweets as well. I know Surefour put out a tweet saying the reason you're seeing so much Torbjorn is to sort of fill in the gap, the void that McCree would, where he kind of denies up the Sombra, because you think about it, McCree, very good kind of soft counter to Sombra play in particular. He's got the flashbang to deny EMPs, to deny the Sombra trying to foul up in the background, for example. Torbjorn kind of replaces that, and you have to wonder, is the question, is it the fact that the Asian regions are maybe a little bit behind when it comes to figuring out this kind of play, or is it just that it suits their play style a little bit more, where they don't like to play as aggressively, play around the hacks, play around the EMPs?
Yeah, I think it's definitely just a different read on the game. Also, you've got to say that the Korean region in general has been at the forefront of playing Sombra.
Yes.
Both in terms of the
100%.
contenders stuff as well. So it's highly possible that the coaches, the players themselves are just very comfortable playing the Sombra. Haven't really seen too much of it from Bazzi and Lip over their careers, but they both look fairly impressive.
Well, we're going to be heading into Paris, a map that, it's a bit like some sort of yeast spread, Josh, who I'm not going to name because obviously they don't sponsor the Overwatch League.
Okay.
But, you either love it or you hate it.
Right.
And Paris is a map, you see some results that are some very quick, some very the opposite of quick, not slow. It's not the word I want to use.
The opposite of quick.
Yeah, but not slow.
Okay.
Can you pull out your dictionary, your thesaurus?
Thesaurus. You want a synonym? You want an antonym for fast that isn't slow?
Slow, but kind of describes what you see. Because with Paris, it's either blazing quick captures on either side, or teams getting full health.
Yes, it's grinding. The tempo can be fairly quick, but because that first choke point is so hard to push through, you frequently get games that just feel like the attacking team is whacking their head against a brick wall. And what I love from the LA Valiant earlier on today was their use of Symmetra to be able to break this. So we'll see whether anyone tries to run that in this match. But having said that, with the Sombra being on the other side for the defensive team here, the Spark, it does open up more opportunities to push this choke point.
I like the little play there from Shanghai. You see this when Sombra metas come around, they play characters with stuns like Roadhog, Ana, and try and pre-fire angles, trying to catch the Sombra early. Sometimes when it pays off big time. But you can see Lip here, gets a nice little hack off here onto Adora. Adora way around the corner, and look at that, speed boost onto him. They absolutely collapse a necessary engagement, and they find an opening pick. That is like gold dust in this scenario, because it has absolutely cracked it wide open. Shanghai, they are some happy chappies, as they are. Look at them. They're not even. They're just committing. One person back there, because the tempo they want to play at, they want to be on this final checkpoint before Hangzhou even have the opportunity to catch up.
They definitely want to be building up this EMP. If they manage to generate an EMP, they could certainly cap this with like 5 minutes on the clock, and that would be a ridiculous Paris time. What a huge mistake from Adora, though. He knows that there is literally an invisible hero on the map that can scout his location, and he still takes an aggressive hold. I mean, he could have Wraith formed to block the hack or do some damage or something like that, I suppose, but didn't end up happening, and Adora fell.
Reaction time's a little bit off there for Adora, and it cost them big time in the form of that first point capture.
Where is Lip? Where is Lip, and can they negate this EMP that's going to come through?
He's playing with the rest of his team, and I think Hangzhou, they should be aware of this. Look at this, the EMP comes out, and Shanghai are just rolling over them with the Coalescence. It's so much damage. It's overwhelming. And an absolute flood just powers over them onto the point here. So they're going to be able to clean up a couple of these players. It's a big point, but eventually once they tackle the remaining players here, Hangzhou do have ultimates to work with. I don't want to count them out just yet, though I almost just did. As you can see, the EMP and Coalescence now used. Earth Shatter on top. Hangzhou Spark are able to turn this one in their favor. And I almost cast a cursor to Josh. I almost did it.
Yeah, I was right there with you, Brent. I actually thought that was an easy cap for Shanghai, but great delay coming out from Bazzi and Adora, just playing the opposite sides of the point. It's such an enormous point for Paris, and it's very easy to stall. But I gotta be real with you, I thought that was Shanghai getting like a 5-minute 20 capture time there. They'll be disappointed that they weren't able to complete that, because now another grinding process of them trying to generate an ult advantage and get those picks.
The good news, if you're a Shanghai fan, is Void has just come online with one of the most impactful ultimates in the game, that Graviton Surge. And even if he doesn't get a kill out of it, if he forces out an ult or two, it's still good value, that kind of trade. That's what you're going to be looking for, seeing how the little ult pools match up. And you can see he's waiting for it. The Wraith form fades. Now going to be going for these kills. And there's a sound barrier by Hangzhou, so they need to weather the storm. Oh, and here comes the EMP Earth Shatter. It's a tried and tested combo. as old as the game's been out, and that will definitely be enough for Shanghai Dragons to cap it up. 4 minutes and 8 seconds is what they've got in their time bank. A very respectable time, but nothing really out of the ordinary for Paris. It often feels like teams are setting records almost every day.
True, it's not a record time, but I will say that if you get a time like this on Paris, you're in an incredible position to be able to win the map. And the Shanghai Dragons will be very, very happy about that. They had an opportunity to get snarled up, but their execution with the second wave of ultimates was sublime. Lip built up that EMP very, very quickly, and Li Zhegon popped a sound barrier when he was only on about 30 health. Really clutch. Great execution from Shanghai Dragons. This is what we want to see from this team. This is the level that we wanted to see them play at.
Yeah, we've had such high hopes for Shanghai. I mean, I put them as my second best team overall in the league.
Yeah, but I mean, Brent, you had them as your second best team back in 2018 as well, didn't you? So
that's true.
You've just been a Shanghai Dragons fan,
every other game. I am, as you would say, the OG Shanghai stan. And that's a title that I'll always hold tightly to my chest. No one else has allowed it. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it was just absolutely egregious the amount that I predicted Shanghai in 2018.
I would love to go back and review it because I feel like it gets overblown. I think you only predicted them about 10 times during the season. But to be fair, they did only have 28 games.
But it was also all winnable games in my opinion as well.
Li Zhegon is just taunting them at the front gate. And this is interesting. The Shanghai Dragons are running a very different comp here. They're running with mobile tanks and they're running the Ana as well. So there is more potential for them to lose this first point, but they're more likely to drag out the time, I think.
Oh, I tell you though, I really like this because it takes away a lot of the possibilities of them trying to get a good hack target. I think when you're running these mobile characters, if you start getting hacked, you can disengage easily enough. You've got Izayaki all the way in the background, and he adds a little bit of more threat, I think, as well to the Sombra, who might be trying to poke in the background with his sleep dart. So I do like this approach here from Shanghai with this defense.
A Reaper Torbjorn composition here coming out from the Spark would obliterate what Shanghai are running, though. There are very reasonable counter compositions to it.
But the thing is, Josh, they just do not want to be doing that.
Nope, apparently not.
They have their strategy in mind and they're going to be running with it. But look at this, Shanghai are pretty happy. Guxue gets hacked up. Someone's just farming up that Primal Rage. It's going to be one of the key ultimates to try and win this. He disengages, leaps back, and they're booping him away. Slowly, Hangzhou trying to take up positioning, trying to take space.
Guxue wishes he was playing the Winston here. Imagine him getting tickled down by Stand 1. He wants to show who the boss is.
Well, I don't think he's going to be needing to play the Winston whatsoever because all Hangzhou Spark needed was a quick coalescence, and that gave them enough damage to just win that one out. And that's one of the dangers of that kind of compositions because, look, immediately they have to make the switch. Void has to go over to the Zarya, and he is at a massive, massive ult disadvantage.
Yeah, and Stand 1 as well, without anywhere near his Earth Shatter, actually gives up on the majority of a Primal Rage, which, you know, could have been effective, but I think the potential to just get hacked and deleted is awful, so I don't mind him giving that up at all.
I'm not a fan of Winston. I definitely approve of him switching over to the Reinhardt. This final point can often be a little bit too wide. You notice as well, Sashin is pre-firing a lot of angles. You might be wondering, why is he firing off randomly? He's trying to actually hunt down Limp, this guy, because he's cheeky. He's in the backline. He's hunting down targets. He's getting hacks off and setting up plays like this. Stand 1 with the nano boost. He has enough damage with the swings of his hammer. Adora and Guxue out of the fight, and Shanghai hold.
A good hold for Shanghai. That's going to allow them to generate some more ult charge as well. Helps Li Zhegon get up to his sound barrier. That gives them some counterplay to Bazi as well. That's what this next fight is really going to come down to, I think. The interplay of the two Sombras, whether one of them's in the back lines looking to get a hack on the other, and how the two Lucios respond. You can see IDK is nowhere near being able to get to his.
EMP only connects onto 2. Lip did not get the best value out of it. Only 2 targets is not the greatest, but the important thing is capitalize off of it, and that's what Shanghai have done effectively. They take out IDK, and when you lose your Lucio, you lose a lot of your potential to try and engage in. Stand 1 tried to take Sashin for a little ride, but you know, the damage from the big burly German man was just too much for poor little Diva.
And IDK is finding it difficult to build up this sound barrier effectively with Lip harassing in the backlines and him getting hacked and EMP'd and all of this stuff, but they are going to be able to get up to 6 ults at some point during this fight. So this is the best opportunity that the Spark have to set another really good time here on Paris. If they can get some kind of EMP or hack onto Li Jigon, that could be game over here.
That's what they're looking for. You can see how passive they're playing. Shanghai, that is. And we see the Wraith form forced out and a bubble, and that is the go button right there. They recognize the cooldowns were down, and the Hangzhou Spark are initiating. They're going straight for it. They sense the blood in the water. They can get a pick here onto Void. Falls down to half HP, but gets healed up in the end. Luckily, Izayaki get the Bionade off onto him. And the Hangzhou Spark looking like they're in a very solid position to try and win this one. Nice little sleep dart there from Izayaki. Tried to get dodged there by Adora. He tried to bait it out with the Wraith form. And Shanghai Dragons still just absolutely plowing into them. That is fantastically set up there by Izayaki. It was looking so good for Hangzhou, but one small little mistake, and that is just
oh
that
my
is just not.
God, this is filthy.
Okay, yeah, it's a good thing we're not on Disney anymore, lads. I mean, that's just get that off the screens. You know, it's early days. There could be some kids home from school.
Yeah,
watching.
God. I think that's what Lastro was talking about earlier, actually.
Possibly, yeah, possibly. Switches now though. Sashin is switching over to the Zarya. The D.Va just not quite doing it for him. And that's a dangerous pick now because Void has a Graviton. I mean, you can't eat that up. It's almost going to be a one fight straight off the bat just because of that Graviton surge that's present.
Yeah,
Adora
Adora kind of messed up his execution in the previous fight as well, so let's see if we can get some value out of his... Oh, great play.
That is a little bit egregious there from Izayaki, not spotting Adora, and Adora finding that pick-off might have just set that one off. He's going to try and clutch this one up here. Adora, you are a little bit mad there, Sunshine, but he gets brought down eventually. Shanghai, I think they started sweating ever so slightly, but Adora gets put down eventually, and
yeah, it's a good follow-up on the grab too. It's a nice aggressive grab from Void that manages to find some value. IDK and Baby not able to use their support ults in the middle of that. Wasn't sure whether a hack came off or something from them, but either way, Void's grab finding a huge amount of value, and again, Adora does what he can, but just not... the DPS and the tank line from the Sparker seem to be on slightly different pages in terms of when to invest everything and when to hold back.
Now the big win conditions is going to be the support ultimates here. You can see the EMP connected onto 3. That's going to force out a sound barrier from IDK. A couple of ults as well as stand 1. He laid down the Earth Shatter and he brought Gushwei to the deck. They're able to trade out these kills. And what was looking like a reasonable engagement from Hangzhou was actually just completely to waste. I believe they used both of their support ultimates. They got nothing out of it. And this aggression would make Selfless proud.
It absolutely would. Yeah, this is some San Francisco shock-style aggression. Touch the spawn door while you're on defensive Paris. I really haven't seen teams do this very often. Ooh,
okay. Dude, I mean, this little 1v1 in the backline. Oh, Basi, if he won that, that could have been so good.
Yeah.
That could have been an opening there for Hangzhou, but he got the peel necessary, I think, from Li Jigon in the back. So
I just want to point out as well how sad it is for IDK to invest the sound barrier there and then they still get earth shattered because everybody's EMP'd and there's no shield to block it. It's so hard to be able to counterplay this EMP shatter. The sound barrier just isn't good enough.
Final moments now potentially on this map for the Hangzhou Spark. The Nano Boost is going to be used from Izayaki. EMP connects onto a lot of targets. Stand 1 will fall. Nice Earth Shatter. It's going to bring Fleder down, but that Nano Boost, he has so much damage durability, and because they didn't get that pick, they can clean up the Hangzhou Spark, and Shanghai, in a very dominant fashion, are able to hold on to that point, and they're going to make it 2-0 in this series. Josh, it feels like we've just started.
It really does, and we've had some lightning-fast games so far. I just want more from the series. I hope that the Hangzhou Spark are able to come back into it, honestly, because I can see glimpses of greatness. There are some players that are able to just make magic happen on this roster. We've seen it so far throughout Map 1 in particular, but they're just not quite able to step up to the level of Shanghai. And I feel fairly good about that, honestly, because Shanghai being a great team is great for the Overwatch League as well.
Yeah, I've got to say, I mean, a lot of people were giving, I think, throwing a lot of shade, I should say, to the Chinese region because they were trading all these matches against each other in one big circle. There was no definitive top team. You know, a lot of people, they were laughing at me, Josh, because I said Shanghai, they're going to be good. And they're like, well, they just lost to Chengdu, you know, it's not that good. But this is the Shanghai that we wanted to see. They're back, well, it seems like they're back on top in a position where they are almost the king of the Asian region as it stands. But so far, so good between these two teams. We're going to head over to a game break, heading over to our analyst. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's first and only nationwide 5G network. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
I run down the street, right? And all of a sudden, this huge explosion comes in, and it's like, bang! And there's some cold chaos and it's shitting. I was going, and I'm like,
Download now.
Welcome back, everybody, to the game break presented by Pringles Wavy. Of course, we are your expert analysts for this little halftime section, this little game break that we got going on. Of course, got me, Brennan Hook, and Joshua Sideshow Wilkinson. Josh, you've got a little play for us. Why don't you show the people what we're working with, what we're cooking with today?
I certainly do. I wanted to take a look back. I mean, okay, maybe I should be breaking down why the Shanghai Dragons are winning this, but instead I want to take a look at that weird situation we had in round 2 where Sashin ended up getting gifted those kills and coming back into it. So
this is your crunch time, right?
Yeah, this is crunch time presented by Pringles Wavy. So here we go. I'm going to run you through this here. So this is the situation where we're in round 2. The Shanghai Dragons are at 99% and they've got this EMP to work with. So you're thinking, okay, absolute slam dunk going on right here. They set up for it. You know, Adora uses the Death Blossom. They kite away from it. EMP catches 4 players here and they easily get onto them. Now, the player that I want to keep your eye on, though, is Sashin towards the back here, because Sashin has been hacked, but he's at very high charge. So he backs off. He manages to get further and further back. They've lost 2 players here, Gushui and Bebe, but they go for the chase down. So Sashin uses a bubble, they kill Adora, but give Sashin even more. Now, watch what happens here. As they try and pressure down Sashin, Sashin uses a right click to jump over Stand 1's shield and manages to get some very high energy right clicks onto Stand 1 and Fleta, jumps over the Reinhardt's head and starts piling in damage from above, while Bazzi in the backlines wins a 1v1 against Lip. So between Sashin and Bazzi, they managed to find enough clutch picks to turn this fight completely around, get a hack on Legion and Void, and get back into this and win the second round, which is just such a beautiful play. So there you go. That's your crunch time presented by Pringles Wavy.
Yeah, I mean, that is just astounding, honestly. The individual plays, and it's something that Hangzhou are going to have to keep pulling out, I think, if they're going to try and come back in this series, because remember, it is currently 2-0 to Shanghai as it stands in this match at hand. But we got the next map coming up. We'll see if Hangzhou Spark can bring it back after this break. Do not go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor. The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury with HyperX Fury Memory. And by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everybody. Of course, we are here right in the midst of this series between the Shanghai Dragons and the Hangzhou Spark. And if you're just joining us, it is currently 2-0 for the Shanghai Spark. They are one map away from taking the series.
The Shanghai Spark, which team
sorry,
is
the
that?
Shanghai Dragons. Listen, Josh, I'll tell you, mate, you can throw shade at me, but it is 1:48 a.m. You know, the brain, it's like some sort of primordial jelly at this point. I've lost track of time, the days. I'm in a room surrounded by cardboard boxes, talking to a camera. So get off my case, all right?
All right, sorry.
Get
sorry,
off my
Ben.
case.
I didn't realize it was so rough for you these days.
But apologies.
What's going on in the world?
What do you mean what's going on in the world? Have you been outside? You shouldn't be.
I haven't been. No, I actually haven't been outside.
You should be living under a rock right now. But we're going to be heading into the series soon enough. And it's been, I got to say, I am really quite pleased at the level of play from Shanghai here.
Yeah.
I thought that it was a myth that we'd see coordinated Overwatch again, but all you had to do was look at the Asian region, and lo and behold, here we have it.
Yeah,
a
I
team
think
that they're playing this sort of composition. It almost feels like they haven't had just a week to practice it.
Yeah, I want to kind of attack that big picture as well, because I think a lot of the North American teams will be watching this game or watching this VOD and thinking, we would roll these guys by playing high tempo with like the Torbjorn Reaper or something like that, you know? Because if you turn up the tempo and play that aggressive, you should be able to beat the Sombra Reaper kind of compositions. But I think that both of these teams so far have demonstrated a good awareness of when the enemy team is playing aggressive and disengaging and getting value out of hacks. So I don't think that we are just seeing teams playing inferior comps here. I think we're seeing teams playing different comps and playing them actually fairly well. A lot of the disengages are like the most important thing when you're playing this Sombra Reaper composition. If the enemy team plays aggressive into you, you must disengage effectively. You must be able to find value out of the Sombra. And so far, both of these teams have demonstrated the ability to do that. And again, we're seeing the same comp come out of the Spark on defense.
Interesting from Fletter. I'm curious if he's going to stick with this fire. He's probably going to switch it off. Yeah, so he goes over to the Reaper, but he was just looking for a stray rocket, maybe the concussion blast, and knock him off the high ground. But Dorado, as we jump into the match, both teams just battling against each other.
I would have actually liked to see the Shanghai Dragons come out here with an Orisa Hog to look for a Halt Hook early on, but it seems like it doesn't matter because Fleder finds the flank, takes down Baby and Gushue very early on. 3k for Fleder in the fight.
And any sort of trades, even if the Hangzhou Spark could get a couple of picks off on the tail end, it is way better for Shanghai Dragons as the ones attacking. Their spawn is so much closer. Doesn't matter, they can get back into the fight as 6 way faster than Hangzhou Spark can. You can see them already. They do not want to squander this opportunity. They're going to try and take up space here. Void's going to try and bring up charge, build up charge, I should say, onto his Graviton Surge. Hangzhou, they're going to make the switch over, so Assassin going over to the Zarya.
Is anyone going to scout Fletter in this position? Because he's got a good drop opportunity for a flank again. Like he did in the previous one, nearly finds the pick on the Baby.
Yeah, all he needs is 2 shots from those Hellfire shotguns. That's enough to open it wide open. Nice EMP connects onto 5 though. That's great from Lip, and Shanghai can really play quite aggressive into this. Doesn't matter that the Coalescence has been unleashed here by Bebe. Doesn't matter they've got the superior heals and a bit of damage because they've already got that opening pick and they've got the coordination to really follow up on it. Stam 1 using that Earth Shatter just for good measure, and the Shanghai Dragons are definitely going to be opening up now this first capture point here on Dorado.
Yeah, and without many ultimates being used there as well. I mean, Stan 1 throws out his Earth Shatter, but that'll be charged up fairly shortly as well. As soon as
aggression.
Yeah, they really are taking the high tempo, pushing them out of the staircase, taking control of the high ground. I love this from Shanghai.
Very decisive gameplay from them, and it's what you want to see at the end of the day. Right now, Hangzhou are trying to basically get a word in. It's a little bit difficult for them.
Lip at 70% of his ult already.
To approach from the low ground here, and as you said, Josh, yeah, the Lip with that ultimate coming up so close online. Bazzi hasn't even had the opportunity to use his yet. Graviton Surge comes out, Assassin falls. Shatter? Earth Shatter comes out from Gushue. Able to find it. I gotta say, I am not a huge fan of them using that EMP, but they're gonna try and turn this one. Coalescence used on top of that as well. Shanghai are trying to turn this fight into their favor, despite the fact that Hangzhou Spark managed to get so many early pickoffs. And honestly, a bit of a waste from Shanghai.
A total waste. The grav was fine, but their execution to kill the people in the grav was not. Stan 1 went for a pin, that didn't work out, and now the Spark are in control. The ult advantage favors them as well. They've got double support ult, they've got the EMP too, so good opportunity here for Spark to restabilize after Shanghai mess up the execution on the grav. The setup was all great, but the follow-up was not. And then throwing the EMP in was egregious from Lip.
Hangzhou are going to punish them. You can see this nice little hack there on Li Jiegong. He recognizes that Li Jiegong has the sound barrier, and they commit everything onto him. So taking out Li Jiegong, using the Death Blossom, even if they get knocked down onto the ground from the Earth Shatter, it's perfectly fine, because with the ultimates, Hangzhou are able to push this one in. Now, may have used maybe a little bit too many ultimates than they wanted to, but they should know what to expect now coming up, as Hangzhou just going to back off. Shanghai, though, with a lot to work with on the support ultimate department.
Yeah, I think that's fine from the Hangzhou Spark, honestly. They use the Death Blossom just to secure the kill on Li Jiegong, EMP afterwards. They're going to continue to play aggressive here in the choke point. Really nice aggression onto Stan 1. Take him out.
I mean, that's just fantastic from them, because you take out the main tank and suddenly they have a lot less opportunities to work with. Graviton Surge is going to get traded out equally by that sound barrier. EMP laid out on top here by Lip, but Lip ends up falling. Assassin with the tracking. He's able to just laser them down.
Another bad EMP from coming out from Lip. I mean, sure, it managed to push the Hangzhou Spark back, but that's not the amount of value that you really want. The Spark are just going to be able to re-engage and take another fight here. Where is that Death Blossom happening? Fleder up on the high ground.
I was going to make a joke and say it's taking place in China, but I realized that these teams are actually playing from China. So
you've got to reassess your geographical references.
Yeah, I guess they're playing from America. I don't know. I mean, the Death Blossom is somewhere, but yeah, it's we'll see though, as the Hangzhou Spark are trying to engage into this one. You see an early Graviton Surge now by the Shanghai Dragons. Assassin with these right clicks has been brutal. He's just been pumping damage into the opposition, but he does go down. When you take him out, suddenly your win conditions just start to trickle away a little bit, especially when Void is plowing into you. You can see the amount of damage. He is fully charged up. It's a cute little pin from Guangzhou, but no one was there to just try and contest the point.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, honestly, because Guangzhou makes the play, takes out the Reinhardt. They have the Coalescence to be able to contest as well, but they just don't touch the payload in time. That's unfortunate. Definitely an opportunity there for the Spark to retake that, control of the game, momentum of the entire push, but just didn't touch the payload in time, and now they're defending point C with 2 minutes 50. This is going to be a fast time from Shanghai if they make these ults work. Lip, 98%.
Yep, he's so close to building up. He hasn't got the best out of his EMPs thus far in this match, but this is an opportunity to turn around that narrative. And here we have it. EMP comes out, connects onto 4. And they can see the Earth Shatter by Stand 1. It's a freebie. Guangzhou goes down and they're able to find these picks off the back of it. Just steadily walking forward to that shield, just taking up as much space as possible. They want to keep 3 on the card, of course, get that maximum movement speed. But the aggression now, the Graviton Surge in the spawn point. Bazzi forced to just drift into the background to try and stall and contest up this point. Comes out with the EMP, but the counter sound barrier is absolutely massive. Shanghai have found the picks, they have the ultimates to deal with this, and they have that 3rd checkpoint here on Dorado.
Enormous time there. 2 minutes and 3 seconds on Dorado.
That's crazy on Dorado.
That's an incredible speed. And yes, Lip's first 2 EMPs didn't really get the job done, but generally speaking, the Shanghai Dragons' aggression, their prioritization of high ground control, and the way that they were able to throw ultimates at the end there without being worried was excellent. Really well performed push. They had a couple of moments where they got snarled up, a couple of team fights that they played a little bit incorrectly, but on the whole, what a push from the Dragons.
Nicely done all around. Said it before, but I'll say it again. I am so pleased to see this coordination. Now, not to say that the Shanghai Dragons have been playing perfectly, but it is nice to see that this team, they have a semblance of an idea of how to play their composition. The speed boost, the engages, the disengages have been fantastic. And of course, that's all down to the Lucio players on both these sides. We've been bigging them up the entire series long, but not for any sort of ill reason. IDK and Li Jiegong, these guys, legendary Lucio players. It's so good to see them unleashed.
Yeah, and Li Jiegong is attempting to become a legendary Lucio player. He's legendary within the contenders region, but there's always a question mark about whether they're going to be able to perform compared to the top in the world in the Overwatch League. And so far, Li Jiegong's been lights out, both in terms of how he's counterplayed the
look at him. Look at him.
Yeah.
He's at a spawn door. There's 4 seconds remaining. I mean, he's confident in his ability to get out, but He's just taunting him. He's in their heads, Josh. He's
He
in
really
their heads,
is.
the mind
He
games.
is. And they've benefited so much from his speed boost around the map. Their repositioning, their prioritization of high ground, like I said before, has been sublime so far in Dorado, and it's one of the biggest reasons that they're winning.
Adora going to go TP into the background. He's going to be in at least anticipating the bubble. He gets it, but has to back off because he's 70 HP. The Ray Form will keep him alive. And you see them just trading, chipping away at one another, searching for a pick-off potentially. Contesting the high ground, very important. That's why IDK is trying to knock a few of them down. But Shanghai, they rotate back to this choke point, and if they can hold here, it's a great place to do it.
Yeah, the Dragons are just slowly building this up. Lip at 75%. Look at the difference in EMP charge between Bazzi and Lip. Lip has been outpacing Bazzi ever since this first map.
Well, you see the coalescence now by Bebe. It's a lot of heals, a lot of damage, but the EMP is just that much better. It absolutely cancels out everything, but still, kill's going to be traded on either side, but you've got to say, it seems like Shanghai have got the win, the dub in this team fight.
Definitely.
Collecting it.
And even though Stan 1 and Lee Jae-gon die, they'll have a speed boost and a charge to be able to get back to the front lines very quickly, and a lot of people died from Hangzhou Spark as well, so I don't think these are really trade kills that the Spark can capitalize on, despite having faster spawns.
The damage that Void is pumping into them right now with these right clicks. I mean, they're just eating it up. Forced to take a different direction. They cannot take the route above the ground because they're just taking too much chip damage. And instead they're going to go for the big wraparound, a large rotation. Lip is behind them, being a little bit sneaky. And here's the engage now. Lip is searching for a hack. He's just trying to see if he can get a bit of damage into, and he finds his target. That's what they were hunting for. And with that, the kill onto Adora. Nice little hunt from Lee Jae-gon.
This aggression is great. Just really perfectly timed coming out from Shanghai.
Oh, techers.
Tech. Unbelievable.
Absolutely beautiful.
It's wall climbing at its finest.
Yeah, it's always nice when we manage to catch a little bit of that play, because trust me, you try it in your ranked games and you think, yeah, no, I've seen the pro players do it. It's difficult. You got to put practice in to try and do it. I've definitely thrown a couple of games attempting it, but that is a nice little instinctive shatter. Gushue goes for it. He didn't find anything from it, though. I can appreciate the effort. We see the solo graviton onto Gushue. No one able to follow up off of it. And Adora into the back lines. I mean, when you just commit so much into the front line, it just leaves opportunities for Adora to sneak in there with a couple of bit of firepower of his own.
Yeah, 3 ults used there, traded out for the Grav of Void. Shanghai not going to be too bothered about that, but the Hangzhou Spark with a nice execution. Once they finally got the ults up, once they finally were at a position where they could enter for free, they managed to execute and unlock point A. It's really important now that they managed to contest this high ground. Here's the replay of that Death Blossom.
Yeah, when the Grav got used, Shanghai were like, oh, we need to try and push forward, we need to take advantage of it, but Adora, heads up play, he saw there was an opportunity, took it in the back line. That's the kind of plays that we said Hangzhou need. Pin comes out, stand one bubbled up, and now it's the counter-attack here by Shanghai. Adora falls, but it's kills for either side. So, still, despite being 2 down, okay, Hangzhou, they don't want to try and commit into this. They're just going to back off, disengage. I can respect it. You don't really want to be playing too much into the aggression of Shanghai, because then you will just be playing into their hands.
Yeah, let's see whether the Spark are able to take control over the high ground in the same kind of way here. But, okay, we're paused for a moment in quite a pivotal situation as well. 2 minutes and 50 on the clock with the Hangzhou Spark in a position where they have the soundbar, they have the EMP, and they're looking to take a fight. But the Shanghai Dragons have been fairly dominant here on Dorado. This is looking a bit like a 3-0 shutout, and the Dragons straight back to that potential championship form that we were expecting of them in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the ultimate situation on my monitor here, you can see that this is definitely interesting. We're going to go to a short break, 1 minute until we return, but we'll see you guys soon. No break at all. We are back even sooner than I anticipated. Somehow,
I love that.
I tell you, listen, a lot of you are going to be, you know, typing in the chat, you little gremlins late at night. A lot of you are going to be assuming that this is the production's fault. This is entirely my fault. I have just been taking the wrong cues, inputting them into my brain, and just spouting nonsense to you all.
Nice.
We're back
like
anyway. The game at hand, though, Josh, is
We decided to
Spark
pause.
on the back foot.
Yeah.
Did we decide to pause, Josh? Did we?
Yeah,
I mean,
my brain paused for a moment there.
My brain definitely paused. I mean, we were just staring at the camera in silence, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so we're back into the game now. The game's going to be on pause. Just a short, brief period of insanity at late night for you. That's what you've got to expect when Saisho and Bren are casting. Fleta with a nice flank, though, and a lot of ults are going to be used in this engagement, I think. Oh, maybe not. With the death on Sashin, the Spark's just going to look to reset. But that's a huge win for the Shock, because only using a single Coalescence... Sorry. Of course, yes, for Shanghai. A big win for Shanghai, because you're only using a single Coalescence and a great timing on Fleta's flank. To win that, that's enormous.
Yeah, I mean, phenomenal ult advantage, ult economy, I should say. Just using just the necessary amount of ultimates to win that one. Obviously, gives you a bit of time to think when you're stuck in that pause how you want to execute the fight. But Hangzhou Spark, it's their opportunity, their time to shine. He's going to try and get the hack off into Stand 1. You can see Stand 1 has to flip his shield into 180 here, and it's a big EMP that comes out as Lip connects it onto multiple targets. And Shanghai, if they can just find a couple more, they are going to be in a golden position to just keep holding on to this. Now, the good news for Hangzhou, if you are a fan of this team, is that they are getting a couple of trade kills and they are going aggressively into them. The Coalescence comes out, but Bebe hacked out of it and stunned. I mean, how much do you want to commit into the poor Moira player? Was it enough that they got hacked out of the Coalescence? It wasn't enough. Stunned as well. Earthshatter laid down, but Hangzhou will not be deterred. They continue to push forward and they are chunking down the shield of Stand 1. He will fall. The one last soldier, defender, if you will, against them and this point. Hangzhou still pressing the advantage. They have got the positioning, and they're going to look to try and at least take another teamfight win. Yeah,
a good position here for Hangzhou. They've got the ability to EMP in, and even if Li Jigon does reply with this sound barrier, they've got their own sound barrier to reply with.
Grabs. Okay, both of them, or at least the one from Void, going to get utilized. Earthshatter once more laid down, but Stand 1 will be the one to fall. Gushui follows it up with a nice little pin. I believe that was a hack as well to follow it up. And Hangzhou Spark are looking like they're in a very good position to cap this second point, as long as they can prioritize the right targets. I don't want to call it over just yet, especially when Fleta has this Death Blossom available, ready and waiting, but the hack was there. They read him like a book, but it's not over yet because the Hangzhou Spark, and I mean, they have to back off a little bit here. The Coalescence from Shanghai was enough. Izayaki came back in. It gave them enough damage to take and chip away a couple of the members. Hangzhou have to reassess how they want to try and push into this one now.
Adora really with one of the most telegraphed Reaper teleports of all time, but this EMP from Shanghai is gonna be the nail in the coffin. The Hangzhou Spark looked like they were... Oh, hello, Li Jigon. He finds the kill on IDK and trades.
That's just a little bit absurd, a little bit ridiculous, but we're getting into do or die territory for Hangzhou. A couple of seconds remaining on the clock. Fleta holding onto the high ground, just peeling away some eyes, seeing if the team can capitalize, and indeed they do, because Gushui is fallen. The Graviton Surge comes out, but unless they get any picks, it might just be all for naught. And the Shanghai Dragons, they wipe all 6 off the face of the map, and they are going to clinch out the series 3-0. This is the Shanghai Dragons that was promised.
It really is. This is the Dragons playing at their peak potential, playing a composition, a meta that most people wouldn't have really associated with them.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure on Stand 1 and Void to really be the core of the team, and that's what most people would consider the weaker part of the Shanghai Dragons. But the way at the end there that Fleta played around with his ult and played with the aggression and played with the Coalescence coming out as well from Izayaki was huge. They demolished the Hangzhou Spark towards the end when the Spark had all the advantages. That's a gutting loss if you're the Spark, because you had moments where you really looked like you were playing up to their level, but you eventually got crushed every single time. When it really came down to the pivotal ending moments, you got crushed.
It was a little thing, it was just a tiny little moments that really turned the favor of this match. But speaking of this match, we have our player of the match, and it's the one and only Li Jigon. I think, you know, Josh, we discussed it. I think there's a couple of suitors on the side of Shanghai, but this guy really shone quite bright, and he made countless plays. I think back to Ilios, the amount of environmental kills he was getting, the way he was playing around the EMPs a lot of the time as well throughout this series. There is a lot of pressure on the Lucio player's shoulders, and he lived up to it.
Definitely. It's his first time that we've really seen him play the Lucio in the Overwatch League, this hero that he's known for. And there is a lot of pressure when you're playing against the Sombra. I think the way that he played that little metagame and the environmental kills are all well and good. The reason that I think he deserves player of the match here more so than even that is that his snap-second decision-making and awareness of where he needs to take the team with his speed boost, the high ground prioritization, this kind of stuff, the rotations, were all perfect throughout this match. They're really, really strong. So he was, in some sense, the driving force behind the Shanghai Dragons really being able to play this high-tempo, aggressive style or play the disengages when required. So very good play coming out from Legic on this match for the Shanghai Dragons, and they're looking superb.
Yep, big fan of what we've seen so far from this. But the action's not over yet, Chad, that's right. Keep watching, because coming up we've got Chengdu versus Guangzhou. This is a match that, I'm going to be looking at this, and I'm like, okay, what are Chengdu going to do? Because remember, Wrecking Ball out of the pool, that match is coming up after the break. Do not go anywhere.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by ZipChair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League, and by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Overwatch League. We are here live, ready and waiting for the match at hand. It's of course going to be the Chengdu Hunters versus Guangzhou Charge. My name is Bren, I'm joined by Sideshow. We're going to be ringing the action for match 2 of the Asian matches that are occurring tonight. We've just seen an absolutely brutal one. If you're watching the VOD, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but you should check it out. It was Shanghai versus Hangzhou. You won't know which side it was brutal for, so there you go. Didn't actually spoil it in the end. But Josh, what are you thinking about this match so far? Because it's an interesting one for sure with the hero pool rotation that we've got.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big story here, right? Is how is Chengdu going to perform with Wrecking Ball out of the lineup? I mean, this is a team that has essentially built their entire style, their entire game plan around Eamon's incredible Wrecking Ball. And I really feel like that's going to throw an entire wrench in their plans.
Well, I'll tell you now, we're going to get the Chengdu Hunter starting lineups up here. And as you can see, this is how they're going to be adapting to it. Eamon's just not even going to see playtime initially. He may do later on. I can't really speak for the Chengdu Hunters coaching staff per se, but Eiting is going to be playing. And honestly, doing my research onto this guy, I believe he comes from Chinese Taipei, and he is a pretty formidable main tank. The issue is, how is he going to be slotting into this Chengdu system when previously, when he had Jiqiren, he didn't really slot in quite so nicely because they've been playing with Eamon so long, and I do wonder, are they going to be having a similar kind of issue?
Yeah, I think that's very fair. These are questions that we just don't have answers to at the moment because Eiting, we haven't seen him play on stage, we haven't seen him play in the Overwatch League, and a lot of the other Asia region and outside of Korea, so specifically like Chinese Mandarin-speaking main tanks that we've had in the league, outside of Eamon and Yushui, we really haven't seen that much talent coming from that region. So a lot of question marks about how this guy's going to perform. Additionally, we know that Eamon can play Reinhardt. We saw him play Reinhardt when it was in the GOATS composition way back when. So the fact that they're subbing him out, I hope indicates that Eiting has either some different strategy that they're going to run or has a very good Reinhardt on him. That would be a great boon for the Chengdu Hunters because that has always been a question mark with this team. What do they do when Wrecking Ball is unplayable?
Well, their opponents on the other side of things is a roster that me and you, Josh, at least, we are big fans of, I think, from head to toe, really.
Yeah.
The Guangzhou Charge is stacked with talent as we take a look at it. You can see going to be fielding Eileen and Nero. Rio and Krong as a tank duo, they have been actually top-notch. I've been a huge fan of Krong. And Shu and Neptuno, which I've got no complaints with. Neptuno, a lot of people don't know this, very good at banter. I was going to say something else, but I called myself to banter instead.
Okay, great. Shu and Neptuno are going to be one of the most underrated support lines, I think, in the entire league. They're really top tier. And Rio and Krong, I think, are kind of similar. Another really underrated tank line. They can play everything. They play everything consistently. It's very, very solid. But the star player that I want everybody to watch tonight is Eileen. This, to me, indicates that they're going to be playing a lot of Doomfist. Eileen is their Doomfist player. He's come in for them playing in map 5s in the past, on Control particularly. They're going to be playing on Busan here, and I feel like Eileen's got something special for us.
Yeah, well, speaking of Busan, of course, as we take a look at our map set, see the maps that these teams are going to be dishing it out of course. Already mentioned, the first one in rotation is Busan. Teams are going to be prepping, getting ready for this one. And I do hope that we see a lot of Doomfist gameplay. Such a fun hero to watch. We were treated to quite a lot of it in the matches that we watched earlier in the day. If you were up for some of them, you may be just waking up or you may have already watched them. Of course, no spoilers from me because, you know, I like to think about you guys watching at home. You know,
really?
You might not have seen them yet. You know, I don't want to spoil it for them, Josh. You know,
You're
I want to keep
very
it
kind.
nice and clean. They
Now,
can go back and watch the VODs.
Another option here is Eileen playing the Sombra, because Eileen was also their Sombra player. I'm hoping that he's going to play the Doomfist, because I think that that would be incredibly exciting to watch such a flashy, mechanically gifted player play the Doom. But on Busan, you can't really play that much Doomfist. It's a big map, apart from on Mecha Base. On Mecha Base, we really could see it. But it seems like Eileen is going to be playing the Sombra here. So Sombra Reaper may well be the key. But... oh my goodness, the Chengdu Hunters are playing Winston. This is why Eiting is in.
They've done it again. They've just done it again. I mean, we'll see if it pays off, but, you know, Chengdu say, oh yeah, that meta that we're seeing all over the place.
To hell with it.
We're going to play this Sombra, but we're going to do it our own way, and I can respect it, you know. Chengdu Hunters, They are so fantastic when they just really just turn the meta up on its head. The what feels like really just the encapsulation of the Chinese scene overall.
They really are. I mean, with the most Chinese players, that does absolutely make sense.
Jinmu's in trouble though. He gets hacked up, and that is a brutal position to be in. You cannot be caught out of a position like that. Eileen gets the counter hack, and suddenly Jinmu is lost in no man's land. That opening pick, critical.
I mean, yes, the opening pick is absolutely critical, but just a more fundamental question, Bren. How in the hell do the Chengdu Hunters do anything with this comp? I mean, who do they dive? Who do they hack? How does the Winston engage? The only way that this could be worse for them is if Eileen was playing the Torbjorn, like we saw from the North American division previously.
Seriously. I mean, I'm calling it now. I think about halfway through this series, Jinmu's going to rage switch to Genji.
Yeah, very possible.
Because right now you can see this coalescence by Shu is just going to be pushing Chengdu back. And again, Chengdu cannot engage into this. You have to disengage. You don't want to be fighting into this coalescence. Finally it fades, which means that Chengdu are going to be looking for opportunities. But Josh, you're completely right. Who are they diving here? Because every single target is either safe or has a disengage. They can't really find targets unless Jinmu connects onto something with a hack. And that's the go button. Jinmu close up to, no, not even close up to the EMP. He tries to hack a target. But Eileen immediately answers back with one of his own. And with that, they're able to find a pick off onto Leave. They're falling very, very low. Primal Rage now being used by Ating. I mean, I can respect the effort to try and turn this one. He finds a pick. He sets up Molly for the kill onto Rio here. And okay, Chengdu Hunters, they do turn it.
Yeah, the nano boost onto Ating was fantastic, actually. It was perfectly timed. But this is my issue with the Chengdu Hunters comp, is that they need their ults to be able to win the fight. And that's probably not a good situation to be in, because now the Neptuno's going to come back in with the sound barrier. That's up for both teams, and we've got essentially another neutral engagement without a nano boost, without an EMP available for either side. And I think that the Charge are going to be able to win those. Jinmu again poking, prodding, trying to build up some kind of ult charge, but as soon as the Guangzhou Charge get positioned on the point, they're going to gobble Ating up.
Yeah. Chengdu were expending a couple of ultimates. The pulse bomb was used, but it didn't get any value. Ating forced to back out. He was getting chunked down by Nero. Doesn't really want to be taking this fight in close quarters. And now, just waiting for the re-engage here. Ultimates online for Guangzhou.
This is risky from Nero.
Into the backline. The Sandbarriers are going to be traded out by both of them. Nero, though, he does not get dealt with. The Ray Form is out, but it's okay because the damage he's putting into them is more than enough. And Ating is probably going to be next up on the chopping board as he goes down. And as they just clean up the remaining players here, you can see a couple of ultimates being used. Krong using that self-destruct, he finds the kill onto Evadal. And I've got to say, it's just a matter of time, it feels like, Josh, before the Guangzhou Charge are able to retake this one once more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jinmu's coming up to his EMP, but there's so many ults across the board here for the Guangzhou Charge as well. This EMP follow-up has to be sublime. It's going to be the best dive that Ating and the Chengdu Hunters have ever put together in their lives. I think that Nero has to die immediately, otherwise this is game over for Chengdu in round 1.
Jinmu is going to be the man to watch with this EMP. You can see him, he's waiting, he's steady, he's calm, his mouse is held in his hand, I hope, but we will see as the
great pulse bomb.
Engage straight away. The EMP, it's good, Josh, it's good, it's very good. Multiple players going to end up falling. They could not stand against it. And the Chengdu Hunters are just going to be able to pull that team fight win out of a hat. And able to flip it in the nick of time.
Eileen, I believe, got hacked out of his EMP. I think we just saw that again, where Eileen went for his EMP, but it got removed because Jinmu used it just a split second earlier.
That is crazy.
This is a very pivotal situation. I mean,
a slight change in timing and Chengdu would not have won that.
Yeah, absolutely. Chengdu would have totally lost if Eileen had taken the initiative and been preemptive with that EMP, but this is not the world we live in. Chengdu in control of the point. Really nicely executed from them. Great clutch pulse bomb stick from Leave as well.
Yeah, and look at this pincer being set up here. You can see Leave was just peppering them, trying to create space for Jinmu to just work his way into the back. Guangzhou, they look like they want to try and build up this coalescence. Shu very close to it. This is probably what they're going to be using to engage.
Nano boost from Molly is actually going to be crucial in this fight, but he goes down!
No, but he goes down, Josh! The Death Blossom in the background. As Nero, he TP'd, they had nothing to deal with it. And Chengdu Hunters, they might have a couple of ultimates to stall this one out, but it is all in control for Guangzhou. Ating's going to attempt to try and make a play with the Primal Rage, but unfortunately, he is just going to get absolutely chunked. And that is going to be round number 1, going to Guangzhou here. And honestly, Chengdu, they made they made an attempt out of it. I got to respect it.
They did.
But the composition itself, it requires a lot to try and pull off.
It really does. You have to absolutely outplay your opponents in order to make this Sombra Tracer dive work. And, you know, if Eileen at any point wants to switch over to the Tourbillon, it completely hard counters what the Chengdu Hunters are going for. You don't have the Brigitte anymore. That's unavailable. So you can't be giving armor packs and rally armor to Leave and Jinmu to be able to heal them up from a distance and make them super tanky. So I think... Here's the thing, though, Bren. While we're in a pause and while we've got some time to discuss this, I never, ever want to tell Chengdu not to play dive. I never want to tell them that. I don't want to tell them that their composition is bad, just in case they hear and they start playing meta stuff again. I just love it. I love that Chengdu always, without fail, decide that the meta is not for them.
It is. There's something endearing about it. You know, you can always rely on Chengdu to... the thing that I love the most about the Chengdu Hunters, are we going to go around in a circle and just explain what we love most about Chengdu in this pause?
Sure.
I mean, I'll start here. The thing that I love most about Chengdu, Josh, is that they just... As you said, they do not adhere to the meta. And even if the meta kind of feels like it's playing into their strengths, they're just like, nah, we're going to figure it out ourselves. Yeah. And there's something about that that just really tickles my fancy, you know? It's almost like you're rooting for the protagonist who's constantly being pushed down. I'm waiting for Chengdu Hunters to make it all the way to the grand final.
Yeah, Chengdu Hunters actually do seem a bit like an anime protagonist that always they're always trying to do things their own way. Yeah, they get beaten up along the route, but they stick true to who they are.
Yeah. And it's the friendship, the friends they made along the way.
Yeah.
You know?
Who were the friends?
The friends, I mean, us, of course.
Oh, us, know? Right, okay.
I mean, the only interaction I've had with Eamon has been him actually squashing an orange on my head.
It's true.
So, I mean,
true.
I can't say...
He was so polite as well that he really didn't want to do that because he thought it might offend you as well.
Yeah, he was worried about either hurting me because, again, the guy is just absolutely swole, benches about 300 pounds.
Stacked, jacked, and cracked.
Alternatively, he was worried about, like, insulting me by crushing the orange on my head, but... I mean, again, I just felt blessed at the end of the day, you know, just indoctrinated into the Church of Eamon.
Well, he's not in this match as well, and that gives us an opportunity to get a look at this new main tank. Sure. And honestly, Eiting so far has played pretty well. I mean, the comp isn't great, in my opinion, but the way that Eiting himself has played has been perfectly fine. He hasn't been feeding into the Reaper constantly, which would be an easy thing to do in this composition. He wasn't getting hacked and caught out of position. His Primal Rages got some value out of it. I don't
More
think
value than I thought, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, there are limitations to what you can do with Winston when you're playing into the composition that the Charge are running, but Eiting is playing okay at the moment.
Now, this is an interesting map because when you go to the mecha base, it's very close quarters, which, for me personally, not a fan of these divey compositions. I feel like you almost want to be running this Reinhardt shield to try and brawl into teams and take an equal war of attrition. But Chengdu say, we're not going to do that.
We're going to play dive.
We're going to keep playing dive. I can respect it. And you can see the rotation of high ground, like trading it up. Point not quite unlocked for either side. Both just searching, prodding for weaknesses actually in this moment. Seeing if they can catch a player off out of position. Look
at the Sombra Charge difference. Eileen finds it so much easier to build EMP because he can just do damage to Eiting and Elsa. There's no shields in the way.
Backline here. It's a troubling scenario for Molly, but look at this. Nero TP'd into the backline, did a lot of damage. They jumped onto Nero, and he still gets out with a kill. I mean, that's a little bit absurd if I'm watching that from Nero's POV. The fact that he even managed to get out alive is astonishing.
And also, though, if I'm watching that and I'm the Chengdu coaches, I'm thinking, maybe there's a problem with our plan here. You know, the execution, the setup, it's all right. It's not bad, and you still fail.
No, it's the Guangzhou Charge who are wrong. I lead a Hunter for an EMP. He only connects it onto Molly. Molly's just happy as a chappy, but not quite, actually. I lied. He gets taken down. I'm kind of surprised that he managed to find a pick onto Molly there.
Yes,
it felt like he was quite far enough back that he wouldn't have been able to be aggressed onto. But Chengdu, they flip the point over into their favor. Despite losing him, Guangzhou still going to flip it back now, and it's going to be down to whether or not Jinmu can actually avoid getting hacked, which seems like almost like the mission of the century. As you can see, the EMP is getting traded out. Jinmu finally unleashing one of his own. Connects onto both the tanks of Guangzhou and Nero. Oh, it's his time to shine, baby. He's got that Q. He's ready and waiting. He's going to try and get this D-Mech. He gets it. Can he get the other kill onto the baby D.Va? You better believe it. And now the rest of his team happily able to just clean up the rest of them into the backline. Nero in a bit of trouble, though, as Molly gets off the Bionade, negates the healing. He was trapped against a rock in a hard place, if you will. And Chengdu Hunters reclaiming what is theirs. They're going to be able to get the picks and hopefully reclaim this point.
All right, but again, Brent, they're only able to win that fight because they had EMP and the Charge didn't. That's their only win condition with this composition. They can't control the objective because they have to run away as soon as Nero comes in, guided by his escort. And then they just managed to backcap. That's the only 9% that they managed to get. So this is looking like it's going to be a very quick flip over again here.
Unless Jinmu hacks Eileen.
Yeah, and unless Leave needs some kind of pulse bomb as well.
Yeah, there's potential. There's plays to be made here for Chengdu, but they just need the mechanical skill to pull it off.
Again, they can't stay on the point.
Yep, Charge are going to flip it over, so they are in the position of which, you know, the Chengdu Hunters, they have to kind of aggress into them, but, I mean, Leave falls. I mean, Leave wasn't even hacked as far as I'm aware. Nero just took the fight against him. Nero's just pressuring the backline. Now he's bionaded up, so he's going to have to back off here, but I've got to say, at this point, it's all for nothing. It feels a little bit futile. The ultimates are going to get expended in the end, but it's just a cherry on top. Leave has to try and clutch it, but it's one man against the world, and he will get pushed back by the Coalescence. And the Guangzhou Charge, in a very dominant fashion, are able to take map 1 here against the Chengdu Hunters.
Yeah, that is absolute domination of the Hunters, it must be said. There was... Okay, it might look like round 1 was pretty close. It wasn't even that close. That was Charge without a real clue. They had essentially no win condition that entire map. And that's a struggle. I mean, 18 has come in very specifically to play the Winston here. They've not opted into the meta, and they're trying to dive an anti-dive composition. It's rough out here for a Panda. They're struggling.
All right, well, I'm pretty sure the Chengdu Hunters coaches are going to be getting on the phone to Jeff Kaplan, asking, begging, pleading for Wrecking Ball to be put back out of the hero pool rotation. But until then, we've got one more match. We've got this match coming up after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's first and only nationwide 5G network. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch.
Welcome back, everybody. Did you miss us? I mean, I'd
sure
like to make the same joke as last week where I said probably not, but I guess I've just made it anyway by saying that. Anyway, welcome back. It's the Chengdu Hunters versus the Guangzhou Charge here. We are one map into the series. The Guangzhou Charge took it in quite a respectable fashion, I'd say. Chengdu Hunters, though, are still just doing Chengdu things, and the world is a brighter place because of it, despite the fact that they are one map down.
Yes, I mean, it was certainly entertaining. Would we have preferred a close map instead of Jinmu and Leave on the Sombra and the Tracer?
I'm telling you, man, we are minutes away from Jinmu rage switching over to Genji. I can feel it in my bones.
I definitely think that could happen. I
can see it.
I also think that there's a world in which Eamon just gets subbed back in to play the Reinhardt and complete some kind of reverse sweep. It's not going to happen here on Hanamura, but it kind of, I can feel it in my bones, Brent. I've seen this before with you. Yep, I've seen it before. I've seen it before.
Yeah. I mean, that would be ridiculous. And we're heading into Hanamura as the map. This map, honestly, I was half joking about Jinmu switching over to the Genji, but you do see a lot of Genji play being facilitated on it. There's a lot of high ground, a lot of angles you can get into. And I am excited to see what Chengdu throw at the Guangzhou Charge, because Hanamura as well, I mean, it wasn't too long ago that we saw them pulling out some weird and wacky Symmetra plays last season against, I think it was the Atlanta Reign. Threw them off guard. This map is notorious for them just running random stuff, and I don't know if they're teasing me. I don't know if they're trolling me, Josh. But if they roll out with this comp, is there anything more Chengdu than that?
No. I mean,
other than if perhaps Wrecking Ball was still in,
okay.
That is just on attack.
Well, no, they're defending here, right?
Sorry, defending.
Chengdu are defending, and this composition though is pretty similar to what we saw last week, being the meta, except there's no Mei. I normally would run like Mei Hanzo, but I can kind of see what they're going for here. You know, Leave's going to be this consistent damage pressure coming in from one angle. They've got a lot of shield break, and then they've got the Torbjorn as well. Do I think it's the greatest comp in the world? No. Do I think that it'll take the Charge a while to figure out how to break it? Yes. So that actually does make it a fairly competent composition.
We'll see. I mean, Eileen, he's going back to spawn, waiting with the rest of his team. I don't know.
I think they're trying to figure out what the best composition to play on attack is here. They've probably never seen this comp before. I like the Nero Hanzo pick, because you should be able to play the high ground and get picks onto Jinmu or Leave potentially.
They're just matching them, but they have a lot more spam damage, and I can respect the attempt. I can see the idea behind it here. You want to break down these double shields with the spam, the Hanzo, the Soldier 76. You have the damage output, whereas they're going to be potentially lacking it a little bit when they're running that Torbjorn. And this is going to be playing straight into them. You can see Guangzhou Charge shaking the equal engagement. Flank attempt by Eileen here. He's getting in a lot of little pick damage straight into the side. 18 ends up going down here. The Discord Orb really doing a number on him. And when you open up the point like that, when you take out the enemy's Orisa, it really is just free real estate all over the bloody shop. Nice little Helix rocket. Eileen just couldn't quite connect the last two shots. Leave, though, I mean, he's just rotating all the way around. Eventually just get caught out of position. The Guangzhou Charge, they take a look at the comp, they adapt, and they overcome whatever Chengdu are really throwing at them. I got to respect that.
Yeah, it's quite a nice attempt from Chengdu, honestly. It's a bit of a curveball. You go back to the double shield. Leaves holding on the exact opposite high ground so that you can get damage in behind the shields. But the counter comp is found very quickly from Guangzhou, and they break it on the first try. So that's not exactly what Chengdu were hoping for. I don't think it was dreadful like the Winston dive comp was on the first map, but it's no difficult task for the Charge. They are storming on through.
We see a lot of spam damage. Batiste ultimate, or Batiste immortality field, I should say. It's almost like an ultimate ability. It is quite powerful, but gets used pretty early here by Chengdu. And what is going on in the background? Like, Jinmu, buddy, please. What are you doing there?
I don't know what Jinmu's doing in the background.
What are you doing there?
That's an egregious pick. He should be applying shield pressure, and instead he's flanking.
Amplification Matrix traded. Krong is on the flank, trying to take out Lee. Leave is still not backing off. I guess he's confident his team can heal him up here, but it's almost like a split and pick sort of style being played here now. I actually am at a loss for words. What is occurring in front of me at my screen? Krong is just having a little bit of an adventure. Dora the Explorer just exploring the inner workings of Hanamura architecture. He's just wandering around, and now Chengdu have just been gifted a hold here. I mean, but still Guangzhou are still. They're still defending, Josh.
Yeah, I don't really know.
What's going on?
I don't know how Guangzhou Charge are still in this. They should have been routed out a long time ago. That should have been a really bad play from Guangzhou to stay in, but they managed to find a couple of picks towards the end, and now they're going to regroup. But they essentially just wasted a lot of time there. The flank from Krong, I think he was intending for Eileen to come with him, because Krong and Eileen can kind of roam around the map, and it gives Eileen a shield. He can set up on off angles. It's a pretty cool little duo that you can set up. But Eileen wasn't with him, so he ended up just kind of wandering around. I think you can tell that this Guangzhou Charge roster is not practiced with this comp. It's improvisation.
Yes. It is pure improvisation, but sometimes you need a little bit of that. Supercharger comes out, often one of the best ultimates in the game when it comes to charging up those ultimates and winning team fights. Gravitic Flux straight into the corridors, forces out the Transcendence.
And the Immortality
from
field.
Molly, and the Immortality field, but they still find the pick, and now it comes the Tactical Visor straight from the high ground on high, but Leaf gets the better of him? I mean, okay, finds the pick for him, out of nowhere, almost gets another pick, in fact, does find it. Shu goes down. Quick little shots here from Leaf. Leaf going for another little flank attempt as well, seeing if he can pick off a player or two. Just got to try and connect those shots, but not quite finding too much success. But luckily the rest of his team is. And the Chengdu Hunters still hold on. And where do you begin?
It's a great off angle from Leaf, and he's able to get a lot of work done there. Fantastic pick on Eileen with both of them using their ultimates there. And that's the reason that Krong tried so desperately to get Leaf away from that off angle, because the soldier gets a lot of work done, but he needed Eileen to come with him. And so if the Guangzhou Charge want to try and take the high ground again, I approve of Krong's flank this time. Just bring a buddy with you.
Ooh. Okay, Dragon Strike is used to split them away from the high ground, which, I mean, it should give Guangzhou Charge a bit of space, but they're just not taking it. In fact, opting to now just move onto the high ground. The shields, they recharge, but they go down almost as soon as they went down. You can see them just backing off, just really hunting for a pick. And I gotta say, Josh, this is where you start to see this improvisation that worked when they matched them in the mirror match. It starts to really show in spades, I think, once they try and tackle them in these mirror matches, because they do feel a little bit more uncomfortable when it comes to running this.
Yeah, this is what we always caution teams about. Don't opt into Chengdu. Don't run the same compositions as Chengdu, because they play off-meta stuff, and they'll beat you with experience. They'll drag it down to their level and beat you with experience. But this it worked very well for them on point A, and with a minute on the clock, I think they feel pot committed. But probably a couple of minutes ago, they should have made the decision to switch over to some kind of Reaper Sombra kind of composition and just try and dominate the high ground. Oh, Molly.
Wow.
What a right click. We haven't talked too much about this guy, but he's provided a real damage upgrade over Kyo and Gary from last year.
Yes, he truly has. I mean, Molly coming in, a superb player. We haven't seen too much of his Zenyatta play, of course, only in these extremes. And it feels a while since we've seen a Zen volley actually get a pick as well. That's almost like a throwback to 2018 sometimes, but he makes it work. And now Guangzhou still left at the drawing board with 40 seconds remaining to try and push this one in. Chengdu's still taking the off angles. Shield pressure from Guangzhou though, they unleash it. Nice little halt into the Helix rocket. Elsa goes down. The Immortality field wasn't quick enough from Evital. Chengdu Hunters have to back off and regroup here, and now we're going to start to see these ultimates coming online. Both teams trading them out, but the Transcendence from the Chengdu Hunters, keeping them alive. Molly seeing if he can salvage it for his team, but he actually used the Transcendence to push it too far forward. He split up away from the rest of his team and got picked off in no man's land once more. A little bit of a clutch attempt here by Elsa, but he goes down, and it's falling to pieces right now for Chengdu. Unless Jinmu tries to clutch it from the back line with the Dragon, no one's really able to touch the point here, Josh, and I gotta say, it's falling to absolute pieces.
Yeah, great push in the end there from the Guangzhou Charge. With only 40 seconds left, they dominated the high ground, found a really nice pick on Elsa, and that opened everything up. With Elsa dead, Leave wasn't able to get as much work done, and Rio just established a position on the point behind that Orisa shield, a central anchor that forced the rest of the Chengdu Hunters to contest him on the point. They finally there found the key. And they've set themselves up. This is a winnable map now for the Guangzhou Charge. But that took them a lot longer than they would have liked to, and it shows, I think, the dangers of playing against Chengdu on off-meta compositions.
Yeah, there's not quite a fitting analogy that I can really think of off the top of my head. Maybe like some sort of, off-work clown who stumbled into the road and he's just dragging people down to. I don't really know. There's got to be an analogy there, but
good lord! I mean, I don't know what you were going for. That sounded like something out of It, or an alternate ending to the Joker.
And you can see my comedy show every Saturday, 9 p.m. at the LA Comedy Center.
Yeah, Brent stands up on a stage with a mic saying, there's some kind of joke for this. There's a punchline.
Joke here, but I'll get back to you guys. I'll get back to you guys. Check back next week.
That does sound like the Joker. All right, so the Guangzhou Charge are going to run this meta composition, at least meta for the Chinese teams that we've seen so far. The Reaper and the Sombra. How do the Chengdu Hunters adapt to this? Looks like Jinmu on the Pharah. Jinmu's Pharah has been spectacular. I feel like Eileen has enough high ground on Hanamura where he's going to be able to get hacks.
He's got to play into Krong as well, which is a bit of a problematic scenario. But we can see them. They're just working their way in. Again, remember the amount of mobility that Chengdu have with this comp. Running the Winston Diva, running the Pharah.
The problem is that their backline can't get in. Like, there's no chance that Molly is ever going to be able to get in here. So now you've got this weird situation where they've given up the point in order to get a pick. Now they return back to the point. They can't keep doing this because they can't give up a tick every push. They would lose in 3 pushes. But at some point, something has to give.
I feel like I'm watching Season 1 Florida Mayhem. Because I just had flashbacks to when Zebasai would get left behind in no man's land in Hanamura chokes.
Having said that, though, if you get a tick, it can be worth it. Because the Guangzhou Charge now have to play the point. They can't do that play again. They don't want to give up 2 ticks.
Chengdu just going to be inting into them with a bit of spam damage. You can see Molly from afar just slamming into them. Guangzhou, this is probably the best place to try and hold into, to try and negate a lot of this spam damage. It's hard to try and contest it, though. You can see with Jinmu, he's found these little off angles. But again, they found the opening onto Molly, and these are the kind of picks that they're looking for at the end of the day. Ating, as well as he tries to contest him, will fall.
Good work from Krong as well, just keeping Jinmu occupied while the rest of the Guangzhou Charge went and dealt with the backline. I said that they wouldn't be able to do that play again because I thought they would all have to leave the point, but with how well Krong was playing there, occupying Jinmu, Jinmu wasn't able to get a pick, even though they only left 3 or 4 players on the point.
Okay, Shu, I believe, was forced to use the coalescence there to try and compete with Jinmu, but Jinmu just narrowly avoids him by going up to the roof, and it's a dangerous scenario for Guangzhou, I think, because you've just used up one of your win conditions in the form of this ultimate, and Jinmu is raining down these rockets. He has a barrage ready and waiting. The Impi is going to get laid down here by Eileen. Is there any capitalization? Feels like Jinmu is the one who's going to be getting the most damage done with that demake onto Krong, but finally, Leave comes out with one of his own. Can they get the damage done? Jinmu says, yes please, I will happily eat up these enemies. Right now with these rockets, slams it into them, and Chengdu Hunters have got what they came for. They crack open this point. They're going to make a nice little Sunday roast of an egg. I don't know why they would make a Sunday roast of an egg.
And this, I think,
to make an English breakfast. But
I'm going to ignore the food analogies, Brent.
Please do.
I'm going to instead talk about the fact that this is one of the reasons that it's a nice play coming out from Chengdu, for starters. It's reminiscent of the more dive mobility compositions that we saw back in 2018. They play it very well. Their tank lines occupying the point, Jinmu on the Pharah. But it's one of the reasons that people are playing Torbjorn in North America. Is that it shuts down the Pharah as well.
I like the aggression from Guangzhou here. They're trying to force out, trying to take Chengdu off tilt. What is that, Rio? Oh my goodness. The Earth Shatter was certainly huge. And those are the kind of plays. It was looking a little bit sketchy. They baited Chengdu in, hook, line, singer, and there you go, laid it down.
Yep, one single ultimate, absolutely demolished. And now we've got a situation where both of these teams are playing the Chinese meta composition of the Reaper and the Sombra. So it now is in a situation where with 3.5 minutes on the clock, Rio hitting shadows like this just allows all of the rest of his team to generate their ults.
Oh my god, that is actually beautiful!
Speed around the corner, behind the shield of Ating as well, and he gets rumbled and pummeled.
That is fantastic. Big fan of that. The techers to know to come around the corner. And now we see both teams battling it out once more. You can see a little hack onto Leave here, so he gets caught out of position, and that's going to set up Nero for the double kill. The Death Blossom comes to full fruition. And the Guangzhou Charge still holding on to what they have.
Neptuno, though, used Sound Barrier in that fight, so there is a window of opportunity here. If Jinmu can generate his ultimate, which is what he's going for here at the back, at 54% at the moment, if he can start generating it, he should be faster than Neptuno.
Well, EMP used by Eileen, and that is going to be the initiation key, as you can see in the background there. Obviously a back cap attempt.
Charge are just playing way too fast. Jinmu can't get any ult charge generation because he can't get up top before the Charge have pushed. I love this tempo increase from the Charge. It applies so much pressure to Chengdu as soon as they're trying to come in. And honestly, they'll be back up to some decent ults by the time Jinmu has got his EMP.
one of the biggest counterplays to Sombra is, of course, just playing high tempo, playing aggressive. Don't let them get the hacks off. Don't let them build the EMPs. Now we see, once again, going in with a couple of ultimates here. Krong and send it in the South Destruct, and they take out Leave. But it's traded. Both teams' Reapers have fallen. But it is going to be Guangzhou who are going to be getting theirs a little bit faster, as he only has a short distance to traverse from
Shadow
that spawn.
attempt.
Rio has it, but waiting for the shield to go down. And
he's looking for it.
Yeah, they just opt to just back off here. Nice EMP though. Comes out, Rio gets forced down, and Chengdu, this is the opportunity they were looking for. They can find a pick off on top of these two that they've already gotten. They are going to be golden. Chasing down a couple of the remnants of the players here. Krong gets DMX here. Nero, he's in trouble. Gonna get beaten down. Indeed he does. And they cap it up with time to remain. Chengdu Hunters just finding these critical openings. And that's the scary thing about Chengdu. You can never count them out.
Yeah, we couldn't actually see what was happening on the point there, but I was going to mention, as the time started ticking down, can the charge get under a minute on the clock? But no, Nero's off on a different fight with Elsa in a side corridor trying to pick off Jinmu, but presumably the Guangzhou Charge tanks were unable to touch 1 minute 16, so this is at the very worst a draw here. Now I will remind our viewers that the Chengdu Hunters took a long time to be able to capture point A. Their Pharah and their Sombra kind of strategy naturally takes a long time to be able to beat the Charge's comp. So with only 1 minute and 16, it's gonna be rough here. We're looking at a draw unless the Chengdu Hunters can pull something special out the bag. I'm surprised that they're going with this comp again, because it is a slow prodding poking comp. Okay, 18 making a swap now.
Yeah, they are not looking to opt into it. I mean, I can appreciate this. Jinmu might be swapping over to something a little bit different as well. Probably going to be playing Sombra, if I was to imagine. Symmetra just to get
Symmetra could be very powerful here. I quite like this.
They could, yeah, they could absolutely run this one.
Look how close Rio is.
Yeah, and Eileen as well. I mean, the pre-fire is not quite there from Chengdu. Jinmu looks like, okay, they might be going for the age-old combo. TP straight onto point. I can respect it. Going to be trying to put some pressure into Eileen, force him to translocate back. And Guangzhou, they recognize this. Look at them. They have to play the point because they're scared of the teleporter coming down and instantly losing the game. But all it does, it gives Chengdu an opening. They use the teleporter off onto the right-hand side, and they're in for free now. Jinmu's going to be pounding in damage into the shields. Again, the ammo just being replenished almost instantaneously. And Leave pounding in the damage once more, but has to back off, using his Ray form to survive.
It all comes down to how much value Jinmu can get off here. Eileen and Nero are both a little weak. His tank line has got a lot of space, and if they can give Jinmu the space he needs, oh my god!
Oh my word! Takes out 3 of them, and the Guangzhou Charge. They use the ultimates. They got what they came for once more. Coalescence and Earth Shatter is gone, but the scenario right now for Chengdu is dire. Only 10 seconds remaining, Josh.
What a shadow from Rio. He hit a huge one earlier on as well to keep the ult bank rolling and build this up, build the defense. And Rio lays down the slaughter once again. TP on the point. Here they go. Everyone's getting close to their ultimates here for the Chengdu Hunters, but they need some magic.
Off to the side, they do need that magic right now. And here's the Earth Shatter hitting, lays it down, round the corner, wraps it. But Nero, he's gonna try and turn it for his team. There's only a few members remaining. Chengdu Hunters using that sound barrier, but it's not over yet. The Guangzhou Charge can survive if Rio can stay alive. It's too late though. Ivital brings him down. Jinmu just powering over them right now with his laser beams. The photon beams is more than enough. And look at that, the Chengdu Hunters are pretty elegant in their execution of that one. They're going to be taking Hanamura, making it 1-1.
Yeah, what a performance coming out from Aiting. This brand new talent to the Overwatch League steps up on the Reinhardt and responds enormously with a counter shatter of his own. In the previous fight, Rio had dominated. It was overtime. There was only one opportunity left, and Aiting just absolutely grasped it and pulled his team through Hanamura. What a performance. I mean, this guy, okay, he played the Winston a lot, and the Winston doesn't seem like it's that good right now, but his play on the heroes has been good so far. Aiting looks like he's a great addition to this Hunters roster.
Well, we're going to see now what our analysts have to say in the game break as we go to a quick little break, but keep watching. We've got the rest of the match coming up after that.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the game break presented by Pringles Wavy. That's right, fantastic little snacks, you know, great to snack on while you're watching the Overwatch League at home. Doesn't matter what time of the day it is, you know,
Sure.
go down to your local store, pick some up, and
or maybe
get
don't
some
go
of that.
down to your local store, you know.
Yeah,
Maybe
I mean,
get
you
it
can
delivered.
Order them online, get it delivered, of course.
Yeah.
That's a reasonable approach there, Josh. I'm surprised. Some sort of rationality coming out from you at approximately 3 o'clock in the morning. But
Thank you.
it's not just the Pringle Wavies that we're here to talk about. It's actually the game at hand. So what have you got for us, Josh?
Yes, I actually have a crunch time presented by Pringles Wavy for you, and basically what I want to demonstrate is this. I can't get my taskbar at the bottom to go away, so I guess you're just looking at my taskbar the entire time as well. But here's the setup that I want to point out. There's 30 seconds on the clock for the Chengdu Hunters, and I want to give credit here to Eveltal. So Eveltal is not somebody that we mentioned whatsoever towards the end of this fight, but in the final moments of this, the second to last fight, with 30 seconds left, Rio hits this big shatter. There's 3 people shattered on the floor here. Jinwoo, Elsa, Molly, they're all down. And I want you to keep your eyes on Eveltal, because Eveltal, as we see here, as I pause, is this guy here, this little frog man, the Lucio. And he realizes instantly that with 23 seconds remaining, what he needs to do is instantly leave and hide. So what he does is he hides up top behind, and as the timer starts ticking down, it gives the Hunters that single player they need to be able to touch the point in overtime. The Charge, in the heat of the situation, have no idea that Eveltal is hiding behind. They think that they've cleaned everybody else up. And instead, what you'll see is that if we pause it here, you can just about make out Eveltal's little silhouette as he hides miles behind the rest of the team. And so with about 3 seconds remaining, he comes down, manages to touch the point here with just about 2 seconds remaining actually, and triggers the overtime, sets up this teleporter play where Aiting is able to generate his ult and lays down this enormous shatter. None of that would have been possible without the game sense of Eveltal to be able to hide behind and pick that perfect moment when he realized that the fight was going terribly for his team. So there you go. That's your crunch time presented by Pringles Wavy.
I gotta say, Josh, you know, love it when you you shine a little magnifying glass over the top of these little support plays, you know.
Yeah, thank you, Brad. Thank you.
Underrepresented, I think, little kind of class role, if you will, in the Overwatch scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, thanks for spotting that one. I couldn't watch it personally, but I'm sure it was riveting. In fact, you described it with such elegance and grace that I could not help but just imagine all of it playing out bit by bit. So well done. Yeah. Anyway, we got the rest of the match that's going to be coming up after the break. We've got your casters. They're going to be ready and waiting. Do not go anywhere. Let's see how the rest of this series unfolds.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor. The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury with HyperX Fury Memory. And by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Overwatch League. Of course, we're here watching these Asian matches just unfold before our very eyes here. If you're joining us just in the midst of this, you're watching, firstly, welcome to the stream. You know, grab a beverage, some Pringle Wavies, perhaps, sit down on the sofa, and have a wild time. But we are currently in the middle of a match between the Chengdu Hunters and the Guangzhou Charge, battling against each other. It's 1-1. It is very close between these two teams, and both teams kind of playing to their strengths thus far. I've been a big fan of what we're seeing. It hasn't been the cleanest of play, Josh, but it's definitely been entertaining.
Yeah, it certainly hasn't been the cleanest of play. I mean, the Chengdu Hunters have really dictated the style that we've seen, as they always do, because you have to adapt to them when they play these stranger compositions. They like to play off meta stuff. Now we're heading over to Rialto. Earlier in the day, we saw the Gladiators play against Dallas Fuel on Rialto. We saw a lot of Doomfist being played. Doha looked really strong on that. It's definitely an option for both Jinmu and Eileen here. We could certainly see it. But both of these teams have been favoring the Sombras instead. I can't put myself, honestly, Bren, in the headspace of the Chengdu Hunters or their coaching staff, so I cannot predict what compositions they're going to run. But Rialto is a map where we've seen a lot of Pharah before, so maybe Jinmu again tries to pull out the Pharah.
Well, we see a couple of substitutions being made. Amon coming in for Ating, and of course Bacon Jack as well is coming in. Just to swap out a couple of these players here. The name, I'll admit to you, Josh, has escaped me for some reason.
What, instead of leave, you mean?
That's the Badger. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I don't know why I forgot Leave's name. That's so bizarre. I mean, it could be the sleep deprivation.
Here's a question for you, Brent. What do you think the Eamon substitution here means? Because clearly he's not playing the Wrecking Ball. He's presumably an inferior Winston to Aiting, because Eamon has never played Winston in his professional career for more than like 10 minutes. And he looks like he's going to play at the moment, but I would be so confused.
This makes a lot more sense. He's going to be switching over to the Orisa. This is a character that he knows very well. It's a hero he knows very well. And we'll see what they do with it. I like what Chengdu are running. Again,
Pharah Widow on both sides.
Feels like it's been a while since we've seen Widowmaker, but I am not complaining in the slightest. A little bit of a deterrent from the Pharahs, but it seems both of these teams have some sort of idea of how you're supposed to be playing Rialto first here. And it is going to be a battle in the sky, but also one on the ground. You've got to be wary of these Widowmakers and these pesky sightlines. You can see Bacon Jack just wiggling his wee legs as he hikes around to the backside here of Rialto.
Oh my goodness.
Jinmu's in a bit of trouble here. Nero connects 2 rockets onto him, takes him out.
People would normally say that Jinmu is one of the best Pharahs that we have in the league. Oh, Yveltal's just taking a road back to spawn. That's lovely, actually. People would normally say that Jinmu, Ding, they're the best Pharahs we have in the league. I have seen Nero play Pharah towards the end of last year, and I thought Nero was spectacular. I would not be surprised if Nero gives Jinmu the business here on Rialto, just like he did in that 1v1 there. This is Nero's year to really make a name for himself, and Pharah is absolutely one of the heroes where he could do that. Let's take a look at that replay again.
Yeah, I want to see this again. He's just going to be connected 1 rocket. Misses the second, but don't worry, the third is there to clean up. And
so aggressive and just sure of himself.
Yeah, absolutely great gameplay kicking off here. Bacon Jack actually just before, as you're seeing Chengdu push this in, the reason they're getting so much free capture, you got to pick off onto Eileen. Eamon did go down, but they got the resurrect off as well, just to give you a quick recap. And now they're taking this fight at this choke point. One of the most difficult positions to push in all of the Overwatch, I think. All of the Overwatch. I don't know why I emphasized the D, but nice little sleep dart from Shu. It's going to connect onto the sidelines here. Elsa's sleeping, but it's okay. Now we see the Widowmaker 1v1 occurring. And a lot is going to be relying on both of these teams actually getting the better of their oppositions when it comes to the Widowmakers and when it comes to the Pharah 1v1.
That's a beautiful halt there by Eamon, and Jinmu's taking the Nano boost. He's in already behind. Nano unavailable for Eileen, for Nero, for anybody on the Guangzhou Charge because of that halt. So great work from Eamon on the Orisa, showcasing his ability already early on in this map.
That's very nice halt, but I gotta say, even more impressed by the fact that Jinmu managed to play ground Pharah without getting picked off. I mean, he was glued to the floor. It was almost as if his jetpack wasn't even working, a bit of a malfunction. But
he did essentially have 400 HP because of the nano boost.
Yes, I mean, that's a great point. A lot of durability with that one. But now, Guangzhou Charge, despite the fact that they lose the initial position, they have a lot of ultimates to work with, including the Supercharge, including the Barrage. In fact, they're going to have almost 6 online, I think, by the time they actually finally get around to trying to contest this push.
Yeah, many opportunities. So Infrasight is going to be what begins it. That gives Nero a good idea of where everybody's holding as well, if he wants to try and go for a Barrage in a moment. Barrage is always a little bit difficult to get value out of, though, especially when you're playing into an enemy Pharah and an enemy Diva that can just eat it all up anyway. This is a difficult point to push, though. This corner on Rialto, especially with the Pharahs, you're really waiting for something to happen and develop there.
I gotta say, though, I feel like it's a very difficult point to try and get any value out of a Widowmaker because the sight lines, the line of sight you have to play. Look at these fadeaway rockets from Nero.
Yeah,
the damage boost of the Nano is fantastic. He has to use his Concussion Blast just to disengage, but that's okay because the damage is done. Now we see ultimates, though, coming out. Rio uses a Supercharger, and it is being traded, but it seems like Chengdu do have the edge ever so slightly in terms of these picks. Krong could still absolutely obliterate them. In fact, he does just that.
Krong did so much work in that fight, actually. I mean, one of the biggest difference makers towards the end was that Elsa was demeched and Krong was just eating people alive. Neptuno went for I think he was in a slightly more aggressive position because he really tried to commit to make sure Nero got value out of that nano boost, which is, you know, all well and good at the end of the day because the charge come out on top. And Nero is really hitting rockets in this Pharah duel.
Yeah, feels like he's getting the edge when it comes to this battle. So important, as I've already mentioned. Jinmu, he has to try his luck elsewhere. You've seen him prioritizing the ground a little bit more with his rockets, seeing if he can get a couple of bit of damage off. Eamon goes for the hold. They don't combo with anything, but they do use the nano boost onto Jinmu here. He just needs to find a rocket or two. Ooh, Krong! Into the back line. Eamon and Molly, see you later. not going to be present anymore on this map. This push, dead in the water, dead, much like the dodos, unfortunately. Josh, extinct, I hear.
Yes. Have you only just heard recently? That was
Very
a recent
sad news,
development.
Josh.
Yeah, very, very sad news coming out of Reunion and Mauritius. Okay, I think a big difference maker here available for Chengdu is Eamon's ultimate, the Supercharger. Only 13% more required, and that could be an absolute game changer. But Jinmu still needs to be able to avoid dying to a nano-boosted Nero. Oh, the replay is going to happen, but I believe a fight's going to happen at the same time. Let's take a look at this Krong self-destruct, though.
Don't worry, I'll be able to predict exactly what happens. Krong, okay, I don't know if you missed that, but he got 2 kills. But anyway, the fight's kicking off regardless of that. We see self-destruct straight into the air, brings down Eileen, but Krong answers one back, and Nero, look at that, the damage is immense! Finds 3 kills, he might just search for a 4th, and oh my goodness, the rockets are just filthy. Filthy!
You sound personally offended by how good Nero is at the fire.
He was a candidate for Rookie of the Year last year, 100%.
Absolutely.
And he is just proving it now.
Yep. This really is Nero's year. I mean, I've been high on the Guangzhou Charge for a long time. Was that a little boop as well? I think maybe Eileen actually landed on a
little boat.
Yeah, yeah, on the gondola. He's sailing his way around.
There. Okay, replay time once more. This time I'm going to be seeing from Nero's POV exactly how he approached this one. I mean, funny looking replay, but he finally does get the kill in the end.
Yeah, but that's huge though, because he absolutely has to deal with Jinmu in that situation, and that just sets him up in the next fight for the nano barrage, you know.
Well, in the meantime, Eamon is sleeping with a nano boost, and he has jumped into the backline. He might be able to get a kill here. The heals are enough actually onto Krong. Krong demeched, so his team are there, but Chengdu, it is really gonna go time here. Oh, nice little engage into the backline here. That's a beautiful execution from Chengdu. When the going was going rough, they managed to find the openings, and Island's going to be trading out, but it feels like Chengdu have complete control of this situation by just really able to, just off the back of that dive onto the backline, I should say.
I'm so interested to watch the Eamon Winston, because like I said at the beginning of this match, Eamon has played, I'm serious when I say this, maybe like an hour total of Winston in his professional career. I don't know whether our viewers realize how ridiculous that is for a professional main tank. He is such an outlier in his either inability or unwillingness to play the Winston, favoring the Wrecking Ball in almost all of the situations. And there, he got picked off, but he set his team up for the win. So my eyes are very firmly on Eamon here to see whether they can get anything done with this Sombra Tracer dive. It's going to be tough, but they've got the ults.
Oh, well, they've dove into the back line. Krong eats up the pulse bomb. It's going to be time to force out EMP.
Eamon.
Guangzhou, counter EMP comes out. Jinmu wants to use it. Connects onto a lot of targets. Elsa's just eating them alive right now. The rockets are doing so much damage, but he's caught into the back line. Can he stay alive? Bacon Jack's there, ready, waiting to pounce into the back line. Does he get a demech? Not quite. Could have been a game changer if he did. But Chengdu are running this one in. Nice little hack there onto Krong. Going to be disabling him onto the point. Nano boost from Shu, but slept up Nero! He gets no value whatsoever. The self-destruct is used by Krong just to force him away, but Chengdu are the ones who are in control. Bacon Jack is going to meet his maker as well. Quick little headshot comes out. Still a winnable scenario for Guangzhou here. I don't want to count them out, but Chengdu are battering into them. The hacks have been good. He's swinging away. Eamon, the Yotta Chad cometh, and here he goes. Brought down eventually. EMP built up again by Eileen. Wonderful timing, but do they have the damage to follow up? The answer is no. They had to back away, and the Chengdu Hunters are going to get all 3 capture points here on Rialto.
Surprisingly good play from Chengdu with that Sombra Tracer dive.
I like the engage.
I'm not going to lie, Eamon fed a little bit with the engage. Okay, alright, this is the Nano Barrage from a long time ago.
We got it. We got it. We heard you guys clamoring. We heard you guys screaming. You were like, it's streamer, why aren't you showing the play from Nero? Well, here it is again, you know, in slow motion. Why not?
There
Beautiful.
It is. And now let's return our minds, our imaginations, turn the mind's eye back over to that dive when they engaged on the final point there, the Chengdu Hunters. Eamon jumped in, got bionaded, popped his Primal Rage, got hacked, fed 1,000 HP in the blink of an eye. But he managed to make enormous amounts of space for Elsa, for Leave, sorry, not for Leave, for Bacon Jack and for Jinmu. So he did good work at being able to create space. and then immediately swap back over to the Reinhardt. So I don't know whether we got a very good read there on whether Eamon can play the Winston effectively. But we do know that the Chengdu Hunters were able to eventually bully their way across the line against the Charge playing a more meta composition. So they've set themselves up here. You know, sometimes Rialto can be a very difficult map to complete. This could be that Hunter's taken a 2-1 lead in the series if the Charge aren't careful.
Very surprising, but I mean, is anything surprising when Chengdu are playing? This is a team that can really just pull wins almost out of thin air sometimes, even when you think on paper they might be at a disadvantage. And both teams opting once more for this Pharah and Widowmaker. So the Pharah is going to be, look, as you can see, Nero just pounding in damage, trying to force Chengdu back. He achieves that goal. And now he's going to direct his attention straight into Jinmu. Trading out rockets. No one really coming out on top here, but Jinmu, the trouble is with Jinmu, he's not really managing his fuel very well. He's always got the low ground over Nero. Nero just seems a little bit better when it comes to that jetpack management, which can be important.
Yeah, we've got our protagonists battling over in the corner, while the rest of the team just pokes and prods. Nero takes a rocket there as well.
Nice
as
engage.
A bit of an engage comes in.
Nero, or Rio, if they can bring down Rio, this could be excellent for them. Elsa ends up taking out this trade. You gotta remember though, it is Guangzhou attacking. They have the faster spawns, but they get the res up onto Eamon here, so still able to hold this one. And if they get a D-mech, Chengdu are in a great position. Eileen goes down, but not before taking out Elsa. And luckily they have Bacon Jack, who's on cleanup duty, straight into the back line here. Bacon Jack really just slanging.
Yeah, definitely. You know, coming into this game, I really would have said that I think Eileen's the better Widowmaker than Bacon Jack. I don't think that either of them are the top Widowmakers that we have in the league today. I think they're both kind of middle of the pack, but it really does seem like Bacon Jack is getting the better end of this. Across almost all of the Widowmaker duels, Bacon Jack is having a much larger impact than Eileen.
The spam from Rio, waits for the engage, shield goes down. Almost destroyed, finally is going to get bursted. But Molly from afar just healing up the rest of the Chengdu, and this nano boost he's holding on to is going to be quite imperative. He's looking for an opportunity to use it. Just putting in a bit of spam damage, Bionate to keep his team back up, and Guangzhou are just trying to hope for an opportunity realistically. A stray damage boosted rockets perhaps, but look at the position that Molly's in. He's so safe, so passive. And no one can really follow up on that Bionate onto Eamon as well. Ultimate's traded, but no one's really gaining any solid advantage. But as I say that, Guangzhou Charge, Nero went for a big flank around to the back line. He's going to try and go for these fadeaways. The rockets, a quick 1-2, a little dance, a little jig into the back, but he finally brings down Molly, and Eileen has been doing work as well.
Yeah, Eileen really turned up there, actually. While I was saying that Bacon Jack earlier was getting the better end of the engagement, it was a series of shots from Eileen and a nice flank from Nero that break that one wide open, even though Eamon used his supercharger. I thought that tank battle would certainly go the way of Chengdu, but great plays from the DPS of the Charge to turn the battle, and now Rio has his supercharger, this enormously impactful ultimate available for this fight.
Jinmu, he's got the nano boost, but he needs to try and find a pick or two. Please, just hit a rocket. He's struggling to find it. Finally takes him out. Eileen goes down. Look at this, the aggression from Neptuno as well. He's hunted him down, goes for the res onto Shu, being covered by Krong. That's some reasonable teamwork, but it's not enough to survive, and somehow Chengdu turn this one in their favor.
Eileen with a pick on Jinmu. Gets rezzed, no res available for the next fight. But you're right, another successful push against the supercharger as well. With Bacon Jack finding a crucial pick onto Shu. Yep. Big switches coming out here from the Guangzhou Charge. They didn't like taking the mirror match against
What, Eileen, you fool! Oh my word, his translocator got destroyed. I don't think that was his fault. I think that was just very clever positioning by Jinmu. Destroyed the translocator, Eileen got halted, and that is a killer because
20 seconds.
Time is precious. As you said, Josh, 20 seconds, and look at them, they're making more switches. Rio has to go over to the Winston. He realizes he's not going to be able to touch this point when he's playing the Reinhardt. So, again, swapping over, but Jinmu is playing so aggressively, and he has this barrage ready and waiting. Going to be seeing if he can find an opportunity to use it right now as we're following them straight into the fray. Jinmu using that barrage, just points it away just for a moment here. Self-destruct doesn't get any kills, but it is all glowing up right now for the Chengdu Hunters. They're finding the opportunities, they're taking them away. Salutations, and the overtime will sprinkle down to a halt. And Chengdu Hunters are taking it 2-1. I mean, this is a scenario I didn't expect, Josh. I would have said that Chengdu Hunters were the underdogs in this match, but they are showing up here tonight, and they are throwing just absolutely anything they can at the Guangzhou Charge. And might I remind everybody, they're doing it with Wrecking Ball out of the rotation.
Yeah, that's enormous. With Wrecking Ball out of the rotation, there were a lot of questions about the Chengdu Hunters, and on Rialto, they've answered a bunch of them. I mean, they were able to play not exactly a meta composition, but one that really does play into their strengths. You know, get Bacon Jack in, get Eamon in to play the Orisa there as well. And the way that they were able to find picks when they were attacking to be able to get off a crucial halt kill onto Shu, to be able to find nice flanks. I mean, even though they were losing the Pharah 1v1 for the majority of that map, they still won the mirror comp. And it seems like every single time so far that Guangzhou have mirrored a comp that isn't that Reaper Sombra, they are losing against Chengdu.
Well, we will see if the Guangzhou Charge are able to battle back. Will we have another El Clasico on our hands? I have a sneaking suspicion. I can feel it in my bones. Don't know about you guys, but we're going to find out after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's first and only nationwide 5G network.
Hello, and welcome back to the Overwatch League. Don't know what the clap was for. Didn't really know what to do with my hands, but
I'm just
that's
gonna
besides
clap
the
now.
point.
We're applauding.
You know, great place, Chengdu, great place. Yeah, I don't really know what that was. But we are heading very shortly into potentially the final map of this series between Chengdu and Guangzhou. It is living up to the hype. I feel like every time you watch Chengdu play, it won't be the cleanest Overwatch. It might not even be the best Overwatch, but it will always be Chengdu Overwatch.
Oh, right. Yeah, it'll always be Chengdu Overwatch. Yeah, I knew what you were going to say. Right.
Yeah. That's that chemistry, you know, that they pay us for.
Exactly. I want to point out how strange the narrative around Chengdu would become if they managed to beat both the Guangzhou Charge and previously last week 3-0 the Shanghai Dragons as well. It no longer becomes Chengdu are this dangerous team that you can occasionally lose to. It's, okay, in hero pools where the metas are not perfected every week, not by a long shot, Chengdu Hunters' variability in how they play and their coordination together makes them a very dangerous team every single week against every single opponent. This team, if they carry on playing this way, looks to be significantly improved over their performance last year, and last year they nearly snuck into the playoffs, so good things for Panda lovers.
I like how you've just blanket called the fans of Chengdu the Panda lovers.
Yeah, they're Panda lovers. That's what Hex calls himself all the time.
Does he?
Yeah, he calls himself a Panda lover. Yeah,
putting words in his mouth.
Well, he says he likes fat, cuddly things, so I assume he means pandas. I mean,
of course.
I don't know what it might have been his preference in other things. I don't know.
I'll be honest with you, though. I mean, would you go near a panda? It is a bear at the end of the day, and bears quite dangerous, you know. I mean, the trouble is with pandas as well, is though they live off bamboo.
Yeah,
and there's only so much energy you can get out of bamboo. I mean, the pandas, it's not going to eat you, is it?
I feel like they're very large sloths rather than bears.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know whether I'm being, reckless in my my view here advocating people go mess around with pandas.
No, don't mess around with pandas. They are endangered.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Don't mess around with them.
Please don't mess around with them. Beautiful animals, though, I gotta say.
Do persuade them to reproduce. If you can
Yes.
find a panda, try and persuade it to reproduce. They need all the persuasion they can get.
I hear eel is good for that, but I don't think they're good for eating it.
Eel? I don't...
Eel, yeah. I was told this in Japan, but I mean, we are getting into dangerous territory with this conversation, so I'm moving on as we head into potentially the final match. Or map, I should say.
There have also been some substitutions here. So Leave has been brought back in with 8ing, so that indicates that they're going to play more of a divey style. That worries me slightly, if I'm being honest here, because the Guangzhou Charge are just going to play this Reaper kind of death ball setup, and I think they're going to eat 8ing alive.
We will see. Guangzhou Charge are playing what they're comfortable with right now. It's going to be that Reaper, the Sombra, of course, just trying to set up the hacks and whatnot, but Jinmu playing that fire. Now, we saw a bit of Jinmu's fire in the previous map. It wasn't, you know, a world star performance, but it definitely was acceptable, and he can only focus on the ground war here. There's no enemy fire to contest, which is honestly where his strengths lie. We'll see if they can get a pick, but it seems like Guangzhou are the ones who are taking the initiative. 18 goes down. Elsa's going to follow suit, and that being said, Chengdu have to rethink how they want to approach this one.
Yeah.
Still going to be seeing if they can get a couple of fadeaway rockets, but other than that, it's time to regroup.
Chengdu's composition is very slow, right? They're waiting for hacks, they're waiting for EMP, they're waiting for Farah rockets. There's no burst damage there's no way that they can play very quickly. It's not a high tempo composition. So that puts a lot of pressure on 8ing and Elsa to just stay alive. Like 8ing and Elsa really just have to try and pressure the point, force positioning, play the high ground, but do all of that while staying alive. And for a Winston, that's much harder than a Wrecking Ball, because once you jump, you're just stuck in that position.
They got a couple of ticks at least one. Going to be stopped before they get the second one, and that's a D-Mech onto Elsa, but the D-Mech's not bad as long as you can find some value out of it. Eileen, though, unleashes that EMP, and Jinmu with the fadeaways.
That's huge,
I can appreciate it.
Jinmu was hacked and managed to find a kill on Eileen. Eileen, I think, didn't quite realize where he'd gone. That could be game-changing.
Yep, and especially with this Coalescence being traded out, though. Both teams being forced to use them to try and survive and cling on to whatever chance they have of a push here. But look at this damage, the rockets. This is why you bring in Jinmu on the fire. This is why you utilize it on this point, because he is ready to just let it go. And I'm not talking Elsa, I'm talking Jinmu with these rocket barrages, baby.
Yeah, great work there from the Chengdu Hunters. Good work putting Jinmu in position, even though he got hacked. You know, very dangerous position for him to be in. Once the fire gets hacked, they are incredibly vulnerable. But Jinmu manages to find a kill, evade the hack, stay alive, and then get a huge barrage as well onto Neptuno. So I was worried for Chengdu there. I don't think their composition plays superbly into the comp from the Charge, but they've managed to make it work.
Nero has a Death Blossom, but the question is, what target do you really use it on? So going to go in for the background here, into the backline, I should say. Seeing if he can get a pick off onto Molly, but Molly just fades away, and now, realistically, Guangzhou are searching for any sort of opportunity they can. Neptuno stays alive, or not Neptuno, sorry, Eviltil. Just flying around, wiggling his way out. I don't know how he quite survived in that one, but Guangzhou are expending a lot of ultimates to try and win this fight out. It's going to be hard for them to do, though, as they end up losing their Coalescence. Krong falling dangerously low. And Jinmu still able to find a pickoffs with these stray rockets. It feels like a very weird fight for Guangzhou. They still want to commit a lot. And Krong killed Eviltil with the remake. Dude, I mean, I haven't seen that one in a very long time.
The remake?
The remake?
Onto a Velta?
That is okay. I mean, only in a Chengdu game.
Was he in the air?
I don't know. I think he may have been gliding past him, but still, the push is continuing here.
That's bonkers, but Guangzhou have managed to take a lot of time off this card, and they're coming back in with an EMP. Definitely still winnable situation for them.
It's the fight that never ends, it feels like. Nero, with the EMP, is able to find the kill onto 8ing. Takes him out now, and Chengdu, I gotta say, are they gonna commit? Are they gonna regroup? I think after that kill on Eviltil, you gotta regroup. You gotta, you know, reassess the damage, if you will. But I mean, this has really been living up to just a Chengdu game.
It certainly has. Yeah, this game feels Chengdu to its absolute core. 8ing now making the switch over to the Reinhardt. So Winston really wasn't doing it. I mean, anybody will tell you, playing Winston into a Reaper, not the most fun time in the world.
Leave with the EMP. Lets it go now. Connects it onto a couple of targets, but Nero answers back. He had the game sense, he knew what he needed to do, and he's going for that kill. He wants it. Sounds like they're across, but they had predicted it. That is excellent from Nero, finding the right timings with that Death Blossom.
So unbelievably clutch. His teleporter up to the high ground, and then he drops off with the Death Blossom, just as all the rest of his team is hacked up in the EMP as well. That is a game-winning kind of play. That's completely changed the tide of this fight.
Well, here we have it. Another attempt being pushed in. Coalescence is traded, but 18 goes down instantly. And Chengdu, it's brutal for them. They get nothing out of that Coalescence. It's a difficult fight for them to even try and attempt to get a kill out of it. At least they try and trade or something, but Guangzhou too strong.
What are we looking at here? We're looking at the Death Blossom. So Nero comes out. He wasn't even on the high ground, actually.
No, he just dodged the EMP.
He just dodged the EMP. Beautiful timing. Really intelligent.
Great. Really, really great. Chengdu with another opportunity now as we exit out of the replay eventually. Okay, slow it down, baby. Go ahead. All right. And we see Chengdu making another attempt at it.
EMP has just been used by Eileen, actually, but they haven't found anything from it. The bomb in from Krong slows down 18.
See Earth Shadow now for Rio. Can he repeat the magic of what we've seen in the previous maps? Chengdu have really been stalled out here, though. This is a fantastic hold thus far from Guangzhou. It's very rare to see teams stalled up in this middle section of Numbani. Very rare indeed, but Guangzhou have been playing very, very well. Self-destruct comes out, no casualties. Elsa doesn't find any picks. In fact, it's Guangzhou Charge to find something, and a huge shatter. Connects onto the one, forces out the sound barrier. Chengdu desperate to try and turn this one as we're getting into the dregs of this battle. Only a couple of seconds remaining. EMP from Jinmu. He's trying to turn it around, but Neptuno answered almost immediately with the sound barrier of his own. There shall be no casualties. There shall be no deaths today for Guangzhou, and they will just run down the enemy team. Chengdu desperately hunting for an opportunity, anything they can find to just keep them in this fight as they just chuck body after body after body onto the point. The Guangzhou Charge are in the right position. They are in control. And with that EMP, I gotta say, Josh, should be their fight to win.
It absolutely should. That is the Guangzhou Charge with a wonderful defense there.
That's fantastic.
Wonderful defense. I mean, the play from Nero was really the game changer, because if you're able to win fights where you have the disadvantage by making clutch plays like that, that's what sets you up for a phenomenal performance. At the end there as well, I mean, Chengdu had an opportunity to use the EMP and use the Shatter, and 18's Shatter did not catch anything. So in a complete reversal of his clutch performance at the end of Hanamura, he's just not able to come up with the goods right at the end. And Chengdu get held. This is looking like we're going to a map 5. I don't want to speak too soon, because it's definitely still winnable for Chengdu. There have been crazier holes than this, especially when we're talking about this team. Yeah, but generally speaking, this is looking like a great map here for the Charge.
Yep, do not want to count them out just yet. And Chengdu teasing us. Look at this comp that they're running with. We've seen similar things. I haven't seen any Torbjorn actually today from the Asian teams. So this would be a first if they ran with it, but I gotta say, Numbani is actually a classic map for the Torbjorn first point hold. Even when, you know, Torbjorn was kind of just laughed at as a bit of a meme pick, you know, you didn't really see him too often. Numbani has always held a place for him. He has some great angles where you can place down that turret, and it feels like finally we're seeing what all the Western teams were talking about. Torbjorn as almost a deterrent away from the Sombra gameplay, and the Charge seem none the wiser.
Yeah, this is the same composition as well that they were running on Hanamura on their defense. So with Eileen scouting this out, I wonder whether they go for the same response, which was the Hanzhou and the Soldier. But this is a very different map, so I kind of like just sticking to this composition. I might advocate for a change away from the Sombra, but I think you can still get some value out of the Sombra here, and it seems like the comp that they are just comfortable with. It's a very spread out defense from Chengdu, but that also means that the Charge are going to be able to come around this back area and find individual targets kind of split off from the rest of the team.
They're just waiting right now for the go button, and here we have it. Teleport into the back line. Nero, though, he's in danger. He was spotted immediately. You can see Just trading out a lot of damage here. The lead is going to be exchanged up top. A mutual greeting, if you will. Still Chengdu in control. Guangzhou wait for the shields to come
Nice
up.
hack.
Great hack. Very nice hack. Force out the immortality field. 18 still alive, but 18 will fall. Eventually, Chengdu have to rotate back down onto the point. Very quick coalescence being built up by Shu as well, which they use to really just clean up the rest of this fight as Evital will fall. Both the supports now down for Chengdu means that you've lost a lot of your win conditions. And it doesn't matter how cool you look, Jinmu, when you're popping out overload. You're not going to be able to clinch this one out. Guangzhou Charge looking great as they just take control of this first checkpoint.
Yeah.
A lot of time in their time bank.
A lot of time, and now the Chengdu Hunters have to swap their composition. So this almost looks like a guaranteed win for the Charge. They only really need to win one fight with this EMP, and they'll have the momentum and be able to get to their checkpoint. So this is rough, but I can respect it from the Chengdu Hunters. You have to go all in with a strategy like that because you have to really hold point A. That's your win condition on Numbani. Let's see if they can pull out some other kind of magic, but I really don't see how this works. This Eileen EMP should absolutely dominate.
Eileen or Jinmu trying to go for a hack here. A lot of initiation, the aggression from them. I like this from Chengdu. You want to try and force out ult. It's going to be one of your only win conditions, is taking early fight, but Eileen has shut it straight down. He says you're not going to be playing the game under your own terms. And with that EMP, they set up multiple kills. Guangzhou Charge just everly, slowly pushing that cart in to the finish line.
Yep, they'll get one more opportunity to contest here, Chengdu, and maybe they'll have a shatter available or something, but this is desperation time. It certainly looks like we're going to a fifth map. This one has been dominant for the Guangzhou Charge.
He gave his life away for the cause, and oh my goodness, the ultimate's being unleashed. The Earth Shatter, the Death Blossom. Let's be real, the Guangzhou Charge, they've got it all. And with it, they're going to be getting another map, going to be making it nice and even thus far in this series. Guangzhou Charge taking it 2-2. My word, what a little El Clasico performance. These two teams as well, if I think back to last year, they were also notorious for taking it to map 5s all the time.
Yes.
For some reason. Guangzhou and Chengdu, almost the antithesis of these two teams. They always trade blows.
Yep. And I think that Guangzhou Charge shook that off a little bit as they got better throughout the season. But when you're playing against Chengdu, it's just so difficult to be able to properly put them down because they always seem to spring back up with a new idea. Unfortunately for the Chengdu Hunters, the idea that they use there with the Torbjorn and with the Soldier works much better on Hanamura when you have a really big point A to be able to work with, and it's, you know, a long distance that you have to cover to be able to get to the Orisa or get to the Sigma. On Numbani, the routes are just a little too short, and Guangzhou knew exactly how they wanted to run that, and a great defense from them takes us to a map 5. It all comes down to this.
Yep, straight down to the wire. Map 5 is coming up. Don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to see the conclusion of this series.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
See, we weren't gone long, I promise you that, and we're going to be seeing a conclusion right now between the Chengdu Hunters, the Guangzhou Charge, and it is shaping up to be a goodie so far. Map 5, Josh, we're here, the final moments, it's what we all woke up early for. Me and you, we didn't wake up early, we actually woke up quite late, but you guys watching, presumably, you're mainly from Europe watching. Probably woke up early for this one. Let's be real.
You really seem to enjoy trying to analyze where people are from. It doesn't matter. A lot of the people watching this will be watching a VOD, and it could be at literally any time. Could be at any time.
Yeah, but they could also be watching the VOD in the morning, in which case I'd still be correct.
Yeah. Well done on waking up early, VOD watchers. Congratulations. All right, so we're in our map 5. It's Ilios. That's a control map, Brennan. I don't know whether you're aware of that. What happened in our previous control map? Because methinks that Chengdu Hunters came out with a very poor composition.
Oh, Chengdu Hunters, methinks, what, you turn into Jar Jar Binks?
Yeah, possibly.
Okay, it's cool.
You know, it's late at night.
It is late at night. Yeah, I mean, Chengdu did not look strong. They did not look potent. They did not look powerful when they were playing the control maps. They looked a little bit, not lost.
They looked
lost. They were. I feel like they were playing a inferior composition.
That's absolutely true.
And this is going to be their opportunity to redeem themselves. We'll see if they can do it. Ilios, a lot of people don't know this, actually in Greece. One of the ways you can find out if you're in Greece is actually if you look at the tiles of houses. If the tiles are red, usually you're going to be in either Slovakia, Croatia, or even Greece.
You have been spending far too much time on GeoGuessr. Far too much time.
But the reason you see those kind of tiles is because the particular type of clay which you only get in that kind of soil. And it comes from those kind of regions and also in particular regions in Latin America. Well, really interesting, actually.
I'm glad you all tuned into your geography lesson with Bren. And now let's get on with the fun stuff. Which is...
I mean, listen, I'm gonna be real with you, Josh. That information might save your life one day. Just keep it handy. Keep it tucked away.
Theoretically, it could, and I can't really think of a situation in which my Overwatch knowledge would save my life. So yeah, maybe it is better to get geography knowledge from Bren rather than watch this match. But it seems like the Chengdu Hunters, they're going to go with the exact same comp that they ran in Busan. This did not work, so they've got to change something up.
It didn't work, but they're going to try and make it work anyway. It's a bit like a child trying to fit a triangular object into a square. Sometimes it fits, but not quite
into
precisely.
A square hole or into a square, because fitting a triangle into a square is never going to work.
With Chengdu, both are applicable at times, so we'll see. Both teams are clashing, though. Nice hack onto Krong early on. Can they capitalize? Can they get a pick-off? At least a D-mech. They do indeed. So Krong is out of the mech. That removes a lot of their damage. A lot of their utility is out of here. Now Leave is going to be hunting for an option. But just maybe see if they can go for a dive attempt to one of the members of Guangzhou. Neptuno, though, gets the better of Leave.
That's huge.
How does he work his way around there? Cracks him over the head with the fist, takes him out, and the Guangzhou Charge, despite losing Krong's mech early, which is almost the equivalent of a pick-off, they are going to be able to get these 2 pick-offs, and they are eventually going to be able to take this point back.
Poor rating. He just can't escape. Nero using his teleporter just to be able to get over there and kill him. Just steps over to him. Hey dude, did you try and escape? No. You're playing Winston into a Reaper. You never escape. And Eileen, again, like we said when we were analyzing Busan, Eileen can build up these ults so much faster because he's playing against 0 shields.
Oh, Eileen is waiting. He's like a little silent predator. Look at him. Unleashes the EMP. Guangzhou Charge, they go for a dive attempt.
That was quite far away from the rest of his team. That was ambitious. Yeah. They've overextended.
They're very ambitious, and now Rio is super low. I mean, they are so split here. This is a little bit atrocious from Guangzhou. They tried to capitalize off of the EMP. They split themselves away too far. Shu forced to use the Coalescence. He got nothing done with it. And now it's Chengdu's time to strike back.
Yeah, that was very poor play. Very poor play from Guangzhou, actually. They massively overextended to try and get value out of an EMP that should never have been used when the rest of his team wasn't in position. And honestly, the Chengdu Hunters had to do 0 things there. They had to do nothing. They just had to wait for Rio to feed into them and then shoot away his Coalescence. And now they've got their ults up. So suddenly, even though Chengdu are playing an inferior composition, one that failed completely on Busan, they're now in a decent position for this first round.
Wow, Primal Rage mating. He is hacked up, so he can't actually leap. I don't know why a hack would disable your legs. But don't question the logic.
He's got bionic legs.
Does he? I think they're just normal legs, Josh.
Normal gorilla
like
legs?
76.
Maybe he's a cyborg gorilla and we never really knew, but yeah.
Listen, let's get the Overwatch writers on the case. I want to hear the lore between Winston's legs, but not now, because right now we are really in the apex of this series.
Who are you,
See
Wolf?
Ultimate's now coming out. Yeah, a little bit. Sometimes. Depends. Only when I'm casting Asian matches. But Eiting is going to be able to find the pick off here onto Neptuno. Nice little opening here for them. And Chengdu, I mean, we criticized them, but they are making this comp work. They're using the high ground. They're choosing when to engage. It's the beauty of using this. Oh, but that's a dangerous scenario to be in.
Yeah, and they're also making this composition work without using the EMP, which is enormous. They've managed to hold on to this EMP and just get value out of the hacks, which is exactly what you want to see. Oh, and Neptuno dies as well. Jinmu just takes him out. Wasn't able to find his escape, wasn't able to slip away, and now at 90%, EMP still up. Chengdu looking great.
The pin into the self-destruct, though. I mean, it was looking good for Chengdu, but I mean, it just a little bit of a fiesta just occurred there in the corridors. Still winnable for Chengdu, but still also winnable for Guangzhou because they've committed the ultimates. The sound barrier was used by Neptuno, kept them in the fight, and they flipped the point over. The question is, can they get the pick-offs? Yes, they can. Eileen, lovely little hack there onto Jinmu. Was enough CC, crowd control, to just really remove him from the fight there. Jinmu had nowhere to go.
Yeah, Jinmu, nowhere to go, ends up falling off the map as well. And Eileen didn't have to use his EMP in the previous fight, so it's momentum swings either way. The Chengdu Hunters were kind of gifted the round, played very well on the defense, but they must win one more fight against all odds to be able to go up in this final map.
EMP unleashed. Eileen, anyone there to capitalize off of it? Rio is going to eat a Bionade, but that won't stop him from walking forwards. And Molly going down removes a huge amount of healing. No more Bionades to win off. Chengdu, you got to rethink this. If you regroup fast enough, you might have an opportunity to go back in.
A nano boost onto Eiting has got to do work. If he manages to get it into the backline, he potentially could stop Nero just insta-killing him.
Here we have it. Nano boost is unleashed. But it looks like the picks have already gone in for Guangzhou. Molly and Evadil, the backline decimated, removed without a trace. And now Eiting, he's got to go huge with this Primal Rage. He's inting into the backline, desperately hunting for a kill, but the mechanics weren't quite there for him. A few more players remain for Chengdu. Their hopes and dreams are going to be falling with them, though, as Nero is just collecting tags. Finalizing it, and that is going to be Guangzhou Charge taking the initial round here in the final map of our series between these two teams.
Yeah, a bit of a slip-up for them previously where they overextended, but they managed to right their wrongs and come straight back into it. My heart goes out to the Chengdu Hunters here because it just doesn't make sense what they're doing, but they're trying so hard to make it work. Yeah. They are getting hard countered in terms of their compositions, and they're still making it close. That's the power of Chengdu, but close is not close enough. It's close but no cigar. They ain't getting the wins.
Chengdu, you think they might change it up? Not quite. Looking at what they're running, they want to be relying on some of their strengths. So Jinmu's going to be moving over to the Farah. I can respect it. And the Guangzhou Charge actually going to be opting here for the Somber Reaper. Now, on this particular point, on Well, I actually kind of like Chengdu's composition. I can see where it could work. But the question is, you've got to get these off angles. You likely see Jinmu doing right now. He's working and wiggling his way in, seeing if he can get a damage-boosted rocket or two onto a target, which will set him up for a kill. Forces out the cooldowns from Nero, so no more defensive ability to be utilizing.
Yeah.
And Jinmu slowly building up this barrage.
And the reason we like this composition on this map is that the point is so big that the tanks, Eiting and Elsa, can keep the point alive, keep contesting, and buy enough time for Jinmu and Leave to actually get work done. Oh, but Eiting falls. Yep. It's so crucial that those tanks stay alive and keep contesting the point.
Not ideal for them, and Guangzhou Charge is just going to be slamming in the ultimates. They really want to just clean this one up now as fast as humanly possible. Probably going to do just that now, as you can see Jinmu being ran down here by Krong. One of D.Va's mortal enemies. In terms of the food chain, D.Va usually comes out on top.
Yep, she's a young Korean girl, but she eats like nobody else.
Fangs, claws.
Sorry?
Evolved specifically for hunting down Faras.
Yeah, sure. Let's take a look at Jinmu as well and see whether he can get work done. This interplay between the tanks contesting the point, ping-ponging on the point, trying to keep it running, and Jinmu on the Farah, he has to be able to get work done.
Gotta get barrage! Comes in! Finds 2 picks. I mean, that's more than I expected, and
That's
Esports
enormous.
immediately there with the res. That is huge for them.
Krong's sleeping on duty, I think. He should have really been aware of that. It's the only big win condition coming out from the Chengdu Hunters, and Krong lets it slip through his fingers.
A rare scenario where the Apex Predator Diva falls to the Prey Diva, Prey Pharah player. I mean, I'm just going to stop with these analogies. I think I'm just annoying people at this point, but...
You're constructing food webs in your mind like a science student at GCSE.
Yeah. What else am I to do? I have no mouth yet, I must scream. Neptuno, though, picks off 18. And Guangzhou Charge, I mean, that EMP, I question. And I also pity the fool with that one, but Chengdu are going to try and make it work into it. They get the Resurrect onto Jinmu. Jinmu's going to be one of their win conditions, but the question is, can the rest of the team survive long enough for Jinmu to get enough damage done? 18 using the Primal Rage now. He's going to attempt to try and clinch this one up. Neptuno does fall, and he was very close to his beat. Crucial pickoff here for Elsa.
Fairly crucial, and that does mean that they're just going to be able to keep the time ticking up. EMP comes out as well. They managed to find a couple of picks off that. But this
Straight into
barrage.
That is excellent. Nice little pick off. Chengdu still in control.
Yeah, they're still in control. They're keeping this going the entire time. So the EMP, the Primal Rage, all of these ultimates that the Chengdu Hunters have invested, they work on this map. Maybe only this map on Ilios, because the point is so big that they can keep it contested without getting run down by Nero.
Guangzhou definitely have ultimates to use, though, and that's what they're going to be looking to utilize to break into this point. 90%. They have to make a play. They have to try and touch the point as well, remember? Someone does finally get on it, so they are going to be able to trigger that overtime. 18 searching for the backline, trying to split them up a little bit here. The overtime is running down. Guangzhou are very split as it stands, but it's starting to pay off for them as Nero finds a pickoff. 18 is hunting for a target, but he can't quite find anything. He's just kind of just a lost monkey right now in the back lines. And Guangzhou Charge are able to flip the point back off just because Chengdu were playing so split.
Yeah, Chengdu playing split, but also they just can't contest any area that Nero goes into. Whenever Nero or Rio or Krong are in an area, that is somewhere that's a no-go zone for the Chengdu Hunters, but that's a beautiful rocket. Damage boosted rocket coming out, takes out Eileen. That could be crucial because he was ticking up to that EMP.
Yeah, we spoke about that as one of the win conditions. Jinmu, he heard me talking about win conditions. He says, here's one for you. Barrage comes out, takes down Rio. Guangzhou Charge, they have to try and battle back here. This is the round in shambles if they don't. They're going to use the Coalescence now to try and keep them alive. Nero using that Death Blossom, but gets completely negated by Elsa. 2 kills. Wonderful stuff. Subarashi. And they're going to be able to find it once more as soon as they pick off the remaining players here. 18 doesn't even go down. In fact, he survived long enough to build up this Primal Rage. Rio, though, opts for one of his own. Sees if he can get the pick off, but he's just taking far too much damage. Bubble comes down. 10 HP in a dream, but gets chased down by Elsa. And I gotta say, as scrappy as this is, it looks like Chengdu, indeed they do, take this round right down to the wire, Josh.
Yeah, but the Chengdu Hunters in control. Their composition was favored on that round of Ilios, and maybe that round only. But think about this. If the Chengdu Hunters had been able to capitalize in round 1, after the Guangzhou Charge overextended and almost gifted them the round, we would be in a situation where the Hunters have won this match. They could have won this match already. Despite the fact that it's been all over the place, that they got stomped on the first control map, the Chengdu Hunters are definitely still in this. It's anybody's game. You've got to still give the advantage to Guangzhou because their composition that they have been running is better on this map. But with Jinmu in the server, there is potential to clutch.
Lighthouse. A lot of angles to work your wee little rockets in.
But hard to contest the point.
For.
Very hard to contest the point with 18 and Elsa. They'll get eaten up by Nero. So I'm expecting a lot of just running to the point for the Guangzhou Charge, dominating the point, getting that timer ticking up.
Guangzhou are just waiting right now, presumably. Ooh, Eileen! Caught out of position!
That's
that
enormous.
is a massive pickoff. And now Chengdu, they're going to get control of this point. Guangzhou going to force them out. They want to try and force this by even losing Eileen, but that is that Bionade. Molly comes up clutch. It's the little things, Josh. They all add up, and Chengdu are coming together.
That is wonderful. You expect the Guangzhou Charge's composition to be able to get to that point and to be able to dominate and get the first cap, even if they don't get the first fight win. But Chengdu have turned that narrative completely on its head, and they forced Nero over to the Tracer. Now it is the Guangzhou Charge playing Sombra Tracer Dive. They've opted into Chengdu. This is dangerous territory.
You never opt into Chengdu, because you end up meeting your maker just like this. Jinmu with the rockets. He found Shu. He's looking for more. The damage is immense. Krong in a dangerous scenario. He's going to get collapsed onto as well. He's almost demeched. They don't quite find the pick. He gets healed up in the end, but I mean, I don't agree with Guangzhou's choice to try and match them in the mirror.
It's tough, right? Because now that the Chengdu Hunters are in position on the point, Jinmu's got all the space in the world to be able to pepper them as they approach the point. So I feel like they were worried that if they ran the Reaper Sombra kind of compositions, they just wouldn't be able to get the point without taking so much damage from the Pharah. But now they've opted into this dive mirror, and they've been losing that whenever they've tried it.
This is insane. 18 with the Primal Rage is getting so much done. Jinmu uses the barrage, somehow doesn't die. It's a miracle. Krong just ran straight into him, but Jinmu turned away in a nick of time. Didn't end up bringing himself down. And now we are looking at a scenario, Josh, where we are potentially one fight away from Chengdu winning the series.
Unbelievable scenes. Chengdu have completely turned this around. Great play from them, and I feel like they're mentally ahead.
EMP connects onto 3, and this is the aggression from Chengdu. They're not letting Guangzhou set up. They're not letting them try and regroup as 6. 90% and counting. I don't even believe what I'm witnessing right now. Guangzhou are crumbling to pieces before our very eyes. They have to touch the point, and that's Nero's job. But at what cost? They've got the D-Mech. The overtime is burning down. Only a few players remaining. The hack comes out, a concussion blast pushes them all away.
People are very weak though on Chengdu. They're very weak on Chengdu. They're actually going to be able to turn this. Nero with the sound barrier as well with Neptuno, and they've actually managed to get that. If Velta was weak, the tanks were weak. And Nero and Krong, the playmakers behind.
I don't believe that.
The Charge's dreams alive.
That is crazy. I thought as soon as Nero and Krong had to just int onto the point to tick over that overtime, it was over. Chengdu should have been able to pick them apart, but the heals, the peel was there from Guangzhou, and they've given themselves a lifeline. Now let's see if they can hold on to it.
It is a thin lifeline.
Barrage comes out once more. Jinmu trying to put an end to it. Takes out Krong. The Diva is out of here. The fadeaway rockets Jinmu. 40 HP and a dream. Rio hacked up with the Primal. He's caught in the corner. He can't do anything. Meanwhile, Aiting. It's a third-person monkey close in the corridors. It's a brawl in the pits of Ilios almost. He's trying to get this pick off here. He's trying to split them up here. Chengdu, they cap the point once more. Now Guangzhou forced to try and contest this one. They have to go in deep. Shu using that coalescence. He takes out Jinmu. That's a great opening pick. Eileen is there. The EMP unleashed onto 4 of them. Guangzhou Charge. Wonderful display of prowess. Wonderful display of skill. They find the pickoffs necessary. And they're going to be able to recap it and take it away from Chengdu once more.
It is just by the skin of their teeth that the Guangzhou Charge are staying in this. And unfortunately for them, the cap flipped over to Chengdu, so they weren't gaining progress in the midst of that crazy fight. They've got to keep doing this again and again to keep their dream alive. And Leave has an EMP. This EMP from Leave could be enormous. They have nothing to be able to counteract it, apart from appealing self-destruct.
They have to play split. Here's that fight earlier, but that fight, it's not the one we're really worried about right now. It's the one coming up, because it could potentially be the final one of the series. As we get into it, eventually. Yes, Nero, we know you're very good. But the fight is turning right now, as you can see.
Leave has used the EMP already, and he didn't find anything. We've missed the Leave EMP, but it did not find value. And somehow the Guangzhou Charge have given up the capture progress, but they've actually won the fight.
Aiting into the backline. He's going to see if he can find a pickoff here. The coalescence is also used. The soundbarrier by Guangzhou trying to turn this one. 99% Chengdu in control, but Guangzhou, they flip it again!
Nero! Oh my goodness, Nero's Tracer. You don't recognize Nero as a Tracer player, but this guy just seems like he can play everything. Eileen has the EMP. The previous fight, the pivotal one. What the hell happened to Leave's EMP?
I mean, I wish I saw it. I wish I saw it. the cards, it was all in Chengdu's hand. They should have been the winner of this series a while ago. But Guangzhou have come back swinging and both the tanks hacked up. It's a huge EMP from Eileen. Jinmu tries to turn it in their favor with the barrage. He only gets the 1 kill, but he will fall eventually to Shu, and the Guangzhou Charge have done it. I can't believe what we have witnessed. I wish we saw the fight, but I'll settle for the ending of that series. The Guangzhou Charge taking it. An absolute slobber knocker, Josh. Map 5 went all the way. I mean, that is just the epitome of a Chengdu game.
It really is. You couldn't ask for anything more in the Chengdu versus Guangzhou game. The fact that they forced Guangzhou onto the Sombra Tracer dive and then Guangzhou pull it back from 99 to 0.
It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd.
That's madness. We have witnessed madness. What an enormous play there on the final map from Nero on the Tracer. He was stellar the entire time on the Reaper as well, and just pulled it out of the bag when it mattered towards the end. The Guangzhou Charge also, I want to point out, beautiful at being able to give up the point, allow the Chengdu Hunters to recap, and then come and dominate. That's fantastic stuff from Charge in the end there. So clutch.
I can think of a couple of candidates for our player of the match, but there's one that seems especially worthy tonight. It is, of course, going to be Nero. This guy, so clutch. Me and you, Josh, I was about to say. We have been so high up on Nero as an individual from last year coming into this year. He is such a mechanically skilled player. One of the best DPS players that you've got in the Western region if you want to rally behind him for that reason. Although, I think the main reason you should be rooting behind him is because he is just that damn good.
Yep, he's a phenomenal player. He's so young as well. He opted not to play for the USA World Cup team last year, but I feel like he would have been a shoo-in for that role. He's a real up-and-coming, talented player that was a Rookie of the Year candidate last year, is ineligible, obviously, this year, but this really is his breakout year, 2020. I feel like the Guangzhou Charge, okay, they struggled today with a lot of the stuff that Chengdu was throwing at them, and completely manhandled the Charge on 2 of the maps, right? Like the first map and Numbani were not close whatsoever, and part of that was down to Nero. Just really well-timed plays, great Death Blossoms, good positioning and chasing with his Reaper, and then that clutch swap over to the Tracer where he dominated towards the end. This guy can play everything, and he's so talented.
Well, with that being said, that's going to do it for the Asian matches of today. But in a couple of hours' time, I think roughly, if I can do the mathematics in my head, we're looking at what, 8.5 hours, I think, Josh, before the Watch Point show?
I'm not going to attempt to do maths.
8.5 hours, I believe, until we see even more Overwatches occurring tomorrow. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us, whether it's early in the morning, whether it's late at night. I'm going to stop trying to guess where you're actually from, but I'm going to say good night from us. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll see you in just a couple of hours.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's first and only nationwide 5G network.